knife rip round your neck, nigga. That's pressure, nigga. Shit. That's pressure, nigga.
The shutdown is also disrupting flights across the country.
Air traffic controllers are still required to come to work despite receiving $0 in their paychecks this week, and controllers say that is making an already difficult job even harder.
The pressure is real. We have people trying to keep these airplanes safe. We have trainees trying to learn a new job that is very fast-paced, very stressful, very complex, now having to worry about how they're going to pay bills.
That's air traffic controller Joe Segreto, who works at one of the busiest air traffic control centers in New York. But it's not just him. In Atlanta, our member station WABE spoke to controllers who handle traffic around the nation's busiest airport about how they're coping. Here's Wardell Williams.
It's horrible. We still got lives to live. We still got mouths to feed, daycare, roofs over our head, things that we need to pay for.
To dig deeper on this, we turn to NPR's Joel Rose. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Layla.
Okay, so as we just heard, air traffic controllers are now speaking up publicly. Is that unusual?
It is, and I think it's a sign of the mounting pressure that they face as this government shutdown drags on. This week marks the first time that they've officially missed a full paycheck. Some controllers were out at airports yesterday taking their message directly to the flying public and handing out leaflets calling on Congress to end the shutdown now. The Controllers Union says some have taken on second jobs in the gig economy, driving for Uber or DoorDash or Instacart. Others may be working in food service. The union says that is a minority, probably only in the hundreds of controllers. But union leaders say this is adding unnecessary stress for all controllers. And the Transportation Department says there has been an uptick in the number of controllers who are calling in sick.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing all this work without pay. So how much is all of this affecting passengers?
It's a good question. We have seen isolated delays at airports across the country because of staffing shortages in places like Los Angeles, Washington, Dallas, Atlanta, Newark. But overall, delays this month have not been out of line with what is normal outside of the shutdown. The aviation analytics firm Cirium says on any given day about 20% of all flights are delayed more than 15 minutes for a bunch of reasons. And there has not been a dramatic increase since the beginning of the shutdown. Still, there is a lot of concern about what will happen as the shutdown continues and if air traffic controllers are forced to miss another paycheck. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy held a press conference yesterday at LaGuardia Airport in New York City. Here's a bit of what he had to say.
Many of our controllers can make it without this first paycheck. They've been on the job for, 10, 15, 20 years. They plan for days like this. But I'll tell you this, almost every controller can't make it without two paychecks.
Keep in mind, there was already a shortage of air traffic controllers before the shutdown. The system is more than 3,000 certified controllers short. And controllers in many places were already working 6-day weeks with mandatory overtime. So it just doesn't take a big increase in sick calls to have a major impact on a system that is already fragile.
So given all this, is it safe to fly right now?
Yes. According to the FAA and the Department of Transportation, their top priority is keeping the system safe. But if they have to, they will limit the number of planes that are in the air in order to keep from overloading the system. So I would say, yes, it is safe to fly, but we are going to see a lot more delays and disruptions before this is over.
NPR Transportation correspondent Joel Rose. Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
Outside the domestic terminal entrances at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson, about 20 air traffic controllers wearing bright lime green shirts are passing out pamphlets.
Good morning. We're your unpaid air traffic control. Let's end this government shutdown.
That's Wardell Williams, a member of the National Traffic Controller Association. He spent 23 years on the job and, like his colleagues, is working without pay.
We still got lives to live. We still got people with mouths to feed, roofs over our head, things that we need to pay for, daycare.
Williams says some of his coworkers are taking on delivery and rideshare jobs to make ends meet. Max Crawford, also based in Atlanta, says while he isn't personally working another job when he's off duty, it is not easy to fit more work into their schedules.
I work 6 days a week, up to 10 hours a day, and today is my one day off.
Crawford says that while he loves his job, it's demanding, and they have been dealing with staffing shortages for a long time.
Air traffic controllers did not start the shutdown, and we're not responsible for ending the shutdown. We're just stuck in the middle of it.
Teresa Christian is a passenger passing through Atlanta on her way to Bali, Indonesia.
I really felt terrible when I first heard that the air traffic controllers weren't going to get paid. And I was really a little leery because I said, if they're not getting paid, are we going to be safe up there in the air?
Air traffic controllers will receive back pay after the shutdown ends, but their labor union says many started second jobs to pay their bills during the last shutdown. Marlon Hod, WABE News.
The top 3 things you need to know before working at Amazon.
We begin with your money and your jobs tonight. It's becoming a familiar story, jobs being cut as companies increasingly turn to AI. Well, today, 14,000 more jobs were cut by Amazon, America's second largest private employer. And as the e-tailing giant explained, the cuts, people are getting more and more nervous. Let's go and bring in our business and tech reporter, Scott Budman. A lot of people concerned, Scott.
Yeah, really are, Audrey. You're absolutely right. A lot of concern, whether you've been working at it for a long time or just starting your career. AI taking some jobs, even as companies say humans are still needed. Amazon admits it's not just robots doing the work we humans used to do. It's now AI. The tech giant announcing close to 14,000 corporate layoffs, admitting in a letter to employees that the cuts and bots make the company more efficient. Santa Clara-based Chegg also announcing layoffs, citing the new realities of artificial intelligence.
AI is not just eliminating jobs, it's eliminating jobs en masse.
And it's becoming a familiar refrain. Billions of dollars in deals and stock market value announced by the day, boosted in large part by reducing human jobs as AI takes over.
And so they're betting on the future deliveries of AI. They're betting on the future potential and paying for those energy costs, and they're doing it through cutting the workforce of today.
But even as machines and machine learning do a lot of the work, AI companies like Sapient say, we still need people.
AI actually needs humans more than humans need AI.
They're a lot smaller than Amazon, but they are hiring.
So just like any technological revolution, yes, some jobs get destroyed, but an even bigger amount of more fulfilling, higher paid jobs are being created.
Okay, Scott, so some jobs are being added, but if you're a young person, it's probably confusing to try and figure out where those jobs are, right?
Right. You know, many of us have been in the workforce for a long time, Audrey, and we deal with these things. But the promise that we made to, say, college students and even those getting advanced degrees is if you get these skills, you'll have a job waiting for you. AI is changing things so rapidly. Less than 4 years ago, for example. That means people coming out of college now thinking, I've got a great job in tech or in other fields are being told those jobs are being wiped out or efficient. And so now you don't have that promise of a career going forward. And speaking to young people and talking to HR experts who do the same, they say that's where the big confusion is wait a minute, how is the launch of my career going to happen with all of these layoffs and all of this efficiency coming from something that didn't even really exist a few years ago? It's a confusing time right now for young people.
How do we become unconfused?
It's going to take time, but if you're just launching a career, how much time do you have before you're like, I've got to do something else? Because Amazon is cutting a job that even a little while ago was right there waiting for me.
All right. All right, Scott. Thanks so much.
You bet.
It's going to be a tough day at the Target corporate headquarters in downtown Minneapolis. About 1,000 people will learn if they'll have jobs. Target's mass layoff comes as its sales, earnings, and image have taken hits. NPR senior economics contributor Chris Farrell joins us to talk about the news at Target. Good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Give us the details.
Okay, so Target says it's eliminating about 8% of its global corporate staff. Layoffs will add up to about 1,000 people, and then 800 open positions. They're being shut down. They're being eliminated. And most of the cuts are concentrated at the corporate headquarters in Minneapolis. So this major restructuring does not include employees at stores or supply chains.
Okay. So what does management expect to accomplish with this restructuring?
Look, Target is losing out to the competition. Michael Fidelki is currently Target's chief operating officer, and he will be the new chief executive officer in February of next year. He wants to streamline management decision-making by getting rid of layers of complexity that have made it harder to bring new ideas to life. Simply put, Leadership believes Target isn't as nimble as it used to be, and Fidelki says the restructuring is about simplifying operations, reducing layers and overlapping functions, and making faster decisions.
Okay, so you said that Target is losing out to its rivals. I mean, it is struggling, but why is that happening?
Well, and, the numbers are striking. You have sales are down, foot traffic has slipped for 18 months in a row. Net income in the second quarter was down 21%. And also Target has been hurt by its decision to roll back its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. That had a real negative impact on them. And just to give you a measurement, stock price is down by some 2/3 since July of 2021. Now, in sharp contrast, the stock price of Walmart and the stock price of Costco, which are obviously two major competitors to Target, have more than doubled. I went to Target. I had to do some shopping. Went to Target last week, and it was in an evening, and I was really surprised. Some of the shelves had sections that were a little bit empty.
I saw that too.
And there didn't seem to be that many employees. And so, look, it's one store, it's one, person's observations, but, there is a sense that the shopping experience at Target just isn't what it used to be.
So I want to go back to the layoffs. I mean, it's always tough on people, right, when they lose their jobs. And today's going to be, as I say, a very difficult day at Target Corporate. But gosh, this is also happening when hiring is slowing too. Not a great combo here.
It's not a great combo. I mean, look, the employees that are losing their job, they're more than competent, right? And they're going to have impressive resumes, and that's in their favor. So some employers in Minnesota are going to go, hey, I got a chance here to improve my talent pool. So they'll probably get jobs. But as you said, the metaphor that economists and lots of people are using to describe this job market is that it's frozen. So if you have a job, you're not leaving because you don't think you're going to get another one or it's going to be hard. If you're an employer, you're being really slow to hire. And so a lot of this has to do, and this has affected Target, on again, off again, on again, uncertainty about tariffs. And then another factor that may be weighing on management decisions to slow hire is artificial intelligence. At the moment, it's really unclear what that means, but everyone has this sense that it's going to be important. So maybe I just want to slow down who I hire for now.
And AI is happening fast, too. We also should say, of course, that these layoffs, I would think they would be another blow to downtown Minneapolis.
Before COVID, and I would be doing an interview downtown Minneapolis and around lunchtime, and you would just watch all these Target employees just pour out of the building, and they would go to all the little restaurants and to all the little stores. So absolutely, it's another blow to downtown Minneapolis and all those small businesses. Look, they're still employees. There is this mandate to come back to the office more frequently. But simply put, there can be fewer people.
So do the layoffs reflect Target's stumbles, or do you see bigger worries on the horizon for the economy?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So, yes, because I think Target really does have to fix its structure, its merchandising. It has to make the stores more enjoyable experience. It's just not as competitive. However, this morning, Amazon announced that it will lay off about 14,000 corporate employees. And Amazon says it's not done with the layoffs. There are more to come. And in a blog post that I read, Amazon wrote, sounds familiar with what Target was saying, the idea behind the layoffs is to make the company more nimble and less bureaucratic. The Post also emphasized the role of artificial intelligence on its business. So both the Target layoffs and the Amazon layoffs signal that businesses in this highly competitive retail sector, they're emphasizing cost cutting and efficiency, and they're worried about AI.
All right. Chris Farrell, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
In their own words, Black workers reflect on federal service amid shutdown by Brandon Tinsley. As the government shutdown nears a month and the furloughs continue, hundreds of federal employees are lining up to get food and other items at local pantries. If the work stoppage persists, more than 40 million Americans could be denied food assistance benefits. The tumult facing furloughed employees illustrates just one of the many challenges that Black federal workers have experienced this year. Long before the shutdown started on Oct. 1, the Trump administration began to signal its intentions to scale back the federal workforce. In February, it eliminated hundreds of thousands of positions, including many that were viewed as having a focus on diversity. The mass layoffs disproportionately impacted Black communities, because while Black Americans make up 14% of the U.S. population, they make up approximately 18% of the federal workforce. Then, those employees who weren't dismissed and didn't resign were confronted with one of the longest government shutdowns in U.S. history. Though offering back pay once the government reopens is standard practice, the administration has threatened to deny it to the employees who have been furloughed. In 2019, President Donald Trump signed a measure guaranteeing this compensation. Some 24 states have sued to prevent the White House from suspending food stamp benefits during the shutdown. Black workers are hit especially hard during a shutdown, explained Michael Neal, an economist at the Urban Institute. Neal previously told Capital B that, generally, black employees don't have as much savings on average to replace their lost income. White households have $8,100 in liquid assets, while black households have $1,500, according to 2019 data. The uncertainty within the federal government may also be contributing to the growing black unemployment rate, according to a New York Times analysis. Over the past several months, the black unemployment rate has climbed from 6% to 7%, while the white unemployment rate has dipped slightly to 3.7%. I think the speed at which things have changed in such a dramatic fashion is out of the ordinary, Valerie Wilson, the director of the program on race, ethnicity, and the economy at the Economic Policy Institute, told the news organization. There's been such a rapid shift in policy, rather than something cyclical or structural about the economy. To capture the widespread impacts of the administration's overhaul of the government, Capital B interviewed several black employees who, in a variety of ways, are continuing to navigate the loss of their positions and threats to their livelihoods. Federal work came with a deep sense of pride. Tony Brown said the colleagues he left behind at the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment are still under pressure. After I left, I heard from people still there that everything is tense now. Tony Brown, 36, had been working as a data scientist at the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, an office under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, for just a couple of months. Then, he learned in February that his role was being cut. Brown was devastated. The news was delivered via a letter that he said felt impersonal. The note claimed that his work wasn't up to snuff, though he hadn't been at the agency long enough to have a performance report, he said. It was Brown's self-esteem that took the biggest hit when he was laid off. For more than a decade, he aspired to work for the federal government. Brown was previously employed at the Maryland Department of Health and the South Carolina Department of Public Health. Federal work came with a deep sense of pride, Brown told Capital B. To contribute to the national well-being, I was excited about that. He found work in the private sector within a couple of months and said that he can't imagine going back to work for the federal government, at least not during the current administration. Brown said that his former work environment was already starting to feel toxic before he left. Colleagues had been told to remove pronouns from their email signatures, and workers couldn't really discuss issues pertaining to transgender Americans, he said, noting that the intensity of this environment appears to have ramped up. It just doesn't seem good, Brown said. After I left, I heard from people still there that everything is tense now. There's so much pressure. The supervisors and the leaders and the managers and the directors cut so much of the staff, but then still want results and work done. That falls on the remaining people. He added, I have the privilege of being able to maintain my integrity, but some people don't have that luxury and must take what they can get. I relocated my life for this role. Regina Fuller-White said it has been disheartened to hear comments by President Donald Trump disparaging federal workers. The rhetoric hurts. I'd never done so much work in my life, she said. For more than a year, 37-year-old Regina Fuller-White submitted application after application, hoping to land a role at the United States Agency for International Development. In 2024, she finally secured a contract-based position as a monitoring, evaluation, and learning advisor with USAID's Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Hub. She started her job in October of that year, but by the end of February 2025, the rug had been pulled from under her. The administration dismantled the agency. She was left without work. Fuller-White said that the cuts were particularly destabilizing to her because of how much time and money she had sacrificed for a job that made her feel as if she had just won the lottery, she told Capital B in October. She had hired a career coach to help her to navigate the Byzantine application process. She and her husband also moved from Wisconsin to Maryland so that she could begin her work at USAID. I relocated my life for this role, and the agency doesn't even exist anymore, she told Capital B in April. It's been gut-wrenching. This is the career I've spent my entire life preparing for. If I don't do international work, what am I supposed to do? Fuller-White said that the Trump administration's messaging hasn't made the upheaval of the past several months any better. Trump and his allies have frequently characterized federal employees as lazy and have cited an untrue statistic that only 6% of them work full-time in their offices. The rhetoric hurts. I remember my workload and my team's workload. I'd never done so much work in my life, Fuller-White said. We had the internships. We had the degrees. We had all the things that black people especially are told to have to get these roles. I'm hearing a lot of distress from my black members. Sheria Smith's job as a civil rights attorney at the U.S. Department of Education was the perfect marriage of two of her interests, teaching and the law. A former fifth-grade educator who grew up in a low-income family in Gary, Indiana, 42-year-old Smith was passionate about using her position to protect the fundamental rights of students. But in March, she learned that she was one of the more than 1,300 Education Department employees whose roles had been eliminated. Even in the face of the layoffs, Smith continued to advocate for affected workers. She was the president of the American Federation of Government Employees Local 252, a union representing employees at the Education Department, until October. She told Capital B in April that black members, in particular, were drowning in the chaos of the cuts. I'm hearing a lot of distress from my black members, Smith said. They're asking, well, if the federal government can do this, make arbitrary decisions about leave and termination, what hope do we have in the private sector? While she's no longer at the Education Department, Smith's concern for those who rely on the agency's services, especially black students, continues. The layoffs are having an impact not just on the fired workers, but also on the students who benefited from the jobs those workers used to do. Administration officials want to shutter the Education Department. As a part of that effort, they have closed more than half of the agency's office for civil rights locations, where employees hear claims from students who argue that their rights are being violated. Smith had been assigned to the Dallas office, which served Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas, and was handling cases that frequently involved potential abuse by school officers. We were very busy because those are states that have often been hesitant to follow Brown v. Board of Education, Smith told Capital B in July. We're hearing from people in the remaining offices that their caseloads have exploded. They're saying that the workload is impossible. They're going to do their best, but it simply isn't humanly possible, and cases are getting dismissed. Why would you create mass unemployment? After her roller coaster of a journey with the federal government, Cornelia Poku, 34, was sad and anxious and angry for months. She had worked at Amory Corps, an agency focusing on community service, until February, when she was informed that she was one of the many probationary employees who was being cut. But her layoff saga wasn't linear. Her position was reinstated weeks later, but then she decided to participate in the deferred resignation program after she learned that more downsizing was imminent. One way Poku said that she coped with the unpredictability of her professional life was by leaning into her passion for content creation. Under the TikTok handle at BlackGirlsExplored, she produces videos that typically highlight Black-owned establishments in the D.C. area, from restaurants to historical sites. Content creation helps to distract me, she told Capital B in April. Poku said that the frustration she felt was immense. She didn't see the logic of the layoffs. She worked as a marketing and communications specialist at Amory Corps Seniors, which organizes volunteer opportunities for people 55 years old and older. Why would you create mass unemployment? She asked. Why would you dismantle a program that helps people give back to their communities?
Because this is what the white supremacists want. Answer to the question, hopefully becoming unconfused. Hadn't even heard that word before. That segment, Worthless Negro from Virginia, Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, October 30, 2025. So I have been told, I guess double public service announcement. I believe the clocks go backward, fall back on Sunday, I believe, unless I've been misinformed. I know for people in different parts of the world, the standard time is not synchronized. So I think for folks across the pond, they've already done this. So for people, us here in the U.S., dealing with the shutdown, that is exclusive to us. And then for those of us in the U.S., flipping the clocks or backward this weekend, that is also just us niggers born right here. Hey. And then, I guess PSA number 2, it is October 30. You know what that means for tomorrow, unfortunately. I would not be participating in too much foolishness. I certainly wouldn't want to be at any large events, lots of people, alcoholic beverages, God knows what else, intoxicating substances. I would not want to be involved with any of that, especially as stressed as you have everybody right now and all of that. And they've been shooting up the CDC and shooting up the ICE facility and shooting up the schools and everything else. I'm good. Might have the ICE folks out and regular enforcement officials. I'm good. And for reals, if you're going to be out and about just living a regular life, you're not dressed up, you're not trick-or-treating, you're not begging for candy, I would still be very alert, because you'll probably have lots of folks intoxicated and in costumes and makeups and all the rest of it from now until like Sunday. So be alert. If you're going to be out on the road, don't want to run over any little folks out stealing chocolate to get all their cavities, or any older folks. I saw some people that were like in their 30s and 40s talking about trick-or-treating. Madness. Anyway, our normal broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism. Not for spectators. If we have any folks, federal employees, being impacted directly, indirectly by the so-called U.S. government shutdown, let us know. Have you been furloughed, laid off, not been paid, fears about all of the above, fired, rehired, any of that old lameness? Have the folks on your job been talking to you like, I don't know, Leroy, it's looking dicey. This thing, goes on any longer. Ooh-wee. let us know. I'll also take this, I guess you call this PSA number 3. Man, I would not be talking about any of this on your job. And to be precise, that is very different than asking, are we going to have a job tomorrow? That's okay to ask. That's always okay to ask. If you think it's some, whatever you think danger might be, that is acceptable. Are we going to actually receive a paycheck? That's acceptable. Asking about the ramifications and if you will still be employed, if you will be compensated, will it disrupt benefits, anything of that nature, how will it impact our actual employment and or ability to do our jobs? All of that is valid. In terms of what you think about this, who is to blame for this, why is this, all of that, not acceptable. I would strongly discourage discussing any of that in the workplace, even with other non-white people, even if you have relatives who are in the workplace. None of that is, that's not what you were paid, hired to do. Come to work and talk about your job. Like I said, now if it's, are we going to get paid next week? Totally acceptable. Do we get fired if we call out sick? That acceptable to ask too, just not, man, these Democrats need to get their act together. And I told you Antifa to blame. None of that. Never, never, never. If you have people ask you what you think about the shutdown or what have you, I would have nothing to say. It would be super short. I don't know enough about it. I just hope it ends soon. I'd even try and see if I could make it shorter than that. I just hope it ends soon. I just hope it ends soon. That might be all I say about it. I don't have no blame, but don't you think Trump did it? I just hope it ends soon. Don't you think Hakeem Jeffries could have got in there? I just hope it ends soon. You think this got something to do with Tisha James being tried to? I just hope it ends soon. And that, like I said, that's even if you work with other black people. I'm not going back and forth, but even if they agree, let's say we have the same opinion on this. I say all the time, you don't know the other people that you work with, person who signs your check, you don't know if he or she is going to agree with you two black brothers or black sisters. So totally irrelevant if the people agree and you all have a unified viewpoint on all of this. Talk about it at home. Y'all can text what have you on your off hours at work. I hope it ends soon. Or codify something else quite pithy. 2-3 words back to, whatever we're supposed to be doing. Any hoodles, the number, if folks have figured out I am not sitting around biting my nails, staying up all night. I don't worry about that. Even if I am a federal employee, I'm going to be employed. I'm not worried about nothing. I ain't clean out my desk. I'll sit around sweating, checking my email. I know my security card is going to work tomorrow. Cool and the gang, let us know. How did you do this? Was it something in the policy and procedure? You developed your own counter-racist code? What have you been doing to minimize abuse so you can get in a relatively comfortable position? They don't have you like Miss Regina Fuller White up here. Oh, man, I done moved and me and my husband. We relocate for a job. We got our feet up chilling. We just researched the area because we know we're going to be gainfully employed and living here as long as we want to. Let us know. How did you accomplish this? The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 720-716-7300. 888-848-9300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. I guess I'll say at the beginning of every broadcast, again, I do not care about what you all watched on TV, YouTube. Please, I really take it as quite offensive, deliberately offensive, if not trolling at this point, any of you all sending me anything that you watched on YouTube. Anything, and I mean anything. It's your long-lost twin brother, Gus T, named Gus B. He talks about counter-racism too. I do not care what you watch on TV, YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, theaters. Get out of here, you screen addict. Now, workplace racism. There we go. Now, you, music to my ears. What you got to say about that? I think it's absolutely retarded and incorrect that we have so much to say about Area 8 and entertainment. I love Snoop Dogg. I love Rihanna. I guess I'm all right about Kendrick Lamar. Beyonce. But I mean, dang. It cannot be that we got to talk about that all day long. And then when it gets to economics and labor, no. So, do not send me anything from YouTube. Workplace, what's happening? Nothing's happening on your job? You getting paid correctly? Either way, if you are being treated correctly on your job, how did you do that? And then the racism that, we're trying to observe patterns, what's going on, all of that. And even beyond, are they, talking about the firings and the shutdown and all? There's so much to learn in the workplace. Just, wow, studying the most familiar mystery. People classified as white. Now, then particularly in this environment, the news segments that we started with, oh man, we kick things off. The shutdown. Ongoing. I said about 30 days ago, I think this is going to last until the end of the year. That's just, I could be totally wrong. I do not claim to be an expert on anything. But my hypothesis, I guess that would put us at about a third of the way through this, that we probably have about 60 more days at least of this to deal with. Hopefully I'm wrong. Nothing, like I said, I never have anything where it's like, well, you have a theory, do you have anything in terms of what's your postulation on what this could be? Nothing good, nothing where I'll be able to celebrate. Like we can get to the end of December. Like, hey, I told y'all this going to last. No. Hopefully I'll be wrong, but that's what I thought 30 days ago, and that's about what it looks like even now. And they talked to the multiple segments, specifically the first two we started with the air traffic controllers, and saying for a lot of those folks, now I recall 30 days ago, beginning of October, nobody had missed a check at that point. This was the beginning of the shutdown, and they started reporting then that they were having air traffic controllers. This is an industry where, hey, they already have been understaffed for like decades. We've talked about this for years on Neutralizing Workplace Racism, trying to get non-white people to go into that job. And now, oh no, if we did get them to go into that, well, that's not our fault. We thought at the time, steady job, they staffed, so they need all kinds of people, good job, benefits, all that. Who could have foreseen they're going to have, Donald Trump elected again? And then check that out. So all the January 6th people, they got pardoned. All the federal employees, they got punished and furloughed. Dang. Maybe the federal employees, maybe they go protest next time. 2028, they go protest. Get the zip ties, man. Get the zip ties. Anyway, But you heard the federal employees and folks missing checks. I told you. So you had people calling out at the beginning of October. Now we're almost at November, and people have started to miss full paychecks, federal employees. And again, 65%. That was the number. They said 65% of federal employees live what they call paycheck to paycheck. That would mean folks who just missed a paycheck, oh man, disaster is imminent. And then especially, now how long is this going to last? You mean we might not get a check for the entire month of November? And then you heard them say, ain't no guarantee of back pay. Oh man. 65% live paycheck to paycheck. Now you're talking about maybe wiping out a whole month of paychecks and you're not even going to give it back. What kind of job does that? Incidentally, like what? I don't even think they do that at Hardee's. Make you work for a whole month for free? Isn't that like slavery? What is that? Anyway, if they do that at Hardee's, let me know, because I have not been to Hardee's in a long time. They have Carl Jr. on the West Coast, and I haven't eaten there either. So, importantly, they said for the air traffic controllers, they said that, we're not going to operate the planes in an unsafe manner. We'll make sure to have adequate staffing if that means delaying flights or slowing things down, but it's going to be safe. You're not going to sit there and talk to me like this when Boeing was dropping planes out the sky every 5 minutes way before we got to this. Now, and then look, we started the year. I thought President Trump told us that they had hired President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Obeezy. Y'all hired all these incompetent, neurodivergent, diversity, DEI, affirmative action hires, people that aren't even qualified to land a plane. You all put all these folks here in the first place and got planes falling out the sky every 5 seconds or so. Didn't he say that at the beginning of the year? What's it going to look like now? We don't even have the lame DEI hires there. Ain't no staff there. And we're coming on the busiest time of the year. I said this 30 days ago when I said I think this could last till the end of the year. Maybe this is something you should discuss with attempted family members. If you all travel for Thanksgiving, if we have victims of racism who still participate in the so-called horror days, and you all got to travel and do your turkey and giblets and stuffing, or at the end of the year you got white Jesus birthdays, so you got to do the gifts and eggnog and all the rest of it. Man, if you got to catch a plane to do all that, oh man, you might want to have that discussion now. If they're talking about delays and flights being backed up and all that stuff now, you know it generally is kind of hectic at the airport at the end of November, end of December anyway. You want to add the shutdown, and maybe you go to the airport and maybe that's the day all the air traffic control people called out so they can go work their second job, make sure they could get a little peanut butter, pay their mortgage. Might be something to talk about in advance, just to make sure. We had 2 air traffic control reports because they did mention Atlanta in the first report, but the second report was WABC. That's WABE, excuse me. That's Atlanta Public Radio. And so, one, they just had the white man last week who got arrested, who took his AR-15 to the airport and intended to, he said, this direct quote, he said, rat-a-tat-tat at the airport with the AR-15. That's the black rifle. So that just happened days ago. And I just told you they shot up the CDC in Atlanta. That was, earlier this year, just a few months back. Workplace terrorism every day in environments with a large population of black employees. Now, you hear about the air traffic controllers. They went to the airport in Atlanta. They start talking to employees. I knew that was audio, not video report, public radio in Atlanta. I knew that was a whole lot of niggers that they were talking to, because I lived in Atlanta. I know who works at the airport in Atlanta. Not the people flying the planes, mind you, but I mean all the other stuff. It's a lot of dark people at the if you go to the airport in Atlanta, see who you see. You can go look at that article. In fact, they show, because they talked about the people that were standing outside and had on the bright neon yellow vests to show that they're with air traffic control and aviation. They work at the airport and everything. And they were telling travelers as they were coming into the airport, like, oh man, in the government shutdown, this is ridiculous. We are the folks who, help your plane get thither and yonder and keep you safe and everything. And, they can't even get a paycheck, man, in this shutdown. They did have some white fellas, for sure, standing out there. Absolutely. Can't have a whole airport, even in Atlanta, with no white people. But, oh, man, Max Anderson, did you hear old Max talked about how he'd been on the job and it was great and he wants to end the shutdown and all that? Max is a black dude. They got a number of black dudes' pictures, black people pictures on that WABE report. Black people directly impacted in Atlanta. And that's what I thought last week when I heard about the shooting. Like, oh man, that's the airport that he's going to go and shoot up with his black rifle. You for sure would have killed some black people, or at least shot some black people. Probably had it in mind. I'm going to kill up a whole bunch of Negroes at this airport that's named after a Negro. I think first Negro mayor of Atlanta, unless I've been misinformed. But, oh, yeah, I'm going to go and tear up it, rat-a-tat-tat on these Negroes. That's what he said, minus the Negro part, but that's what he was thinking for sure. And then you got all these folks at the airport. Man, what we going to do? What we going to do? They go out and best they can and beg and tell mostly white people coming into the airport, please do something, talk to Trump, talk to your white friends, see if you can shut the shut down, get all this solved so we can get paid, get our back pay too. This is what they want, they being racist man, racist woman, racist child. Now you heard all that about the shutdown, air traffic controllers, other government employees, and then whammo, Amazon. We're cutting 140,000 jobs. Now we've been talking about Amazon for a minute, mostly about urine. I guess we won't have to talk about that no more. I guess that's been our whole career arc with Amazon. Like, wow, they got all these factories and everything. And Gus T do have that Amazon wish list. Gus T Renegade is linked at my blog, racism-notes.blogspot.com. Top right corner. Me and Jeff Bezos much appreciate your nabbing an item or three. Thank you. Now, we talked about Amazon and my wish list for many years, and lots of non-white people. Some of our callers and investors say, man, white people don't really hire us for jobs. They don't let us fly planes and run companies. They don't want us to be Negro Jeff Bezos. So they got these factories. Amazon, you can go get a job now. You might have to carry an empty water bottle. You don't want to drink too much water, but empty water bottle so that you can pass urine while you work, because they're going to work you like a slave. We heard that word a lot. They're going to work you like a slave on the shift. You got to keep up because they got the bots and they just keep bringing packages and boxes and boom, boom, boom. And you got to move. They say efficiency. You got to move quick because we got to satisfy customers and we got Prime Day. So you ain't got time to express urine. Empty water bottle. You don't have to worry about that anymore because now ain't gonna be no jobs at Amazon. So you can go to the bathroom and take your time as an unemployed, broke, shiftless Negro. Now they did say most of these cuts are at the corporate level, and they had said before that they were cutting HR. All I can say is, wow, give them a good 10, 15 years. They get them bots and them self-driving vehicles. They get all that stuff processed and refined. Oh man, ain't gonna be no jobs at Amazon. Zero. Now, like I said, for some folks, hey, spectacular. I hated it anyway. It hurt my back. Tired of urinating in a bottle. That's not what I was made here for. Like toilet. Nice, clean one. Scented. quiet. Plastic bottle, please. Well, Amazon will oblige you. We don't have to worry about the robots urinating in no plastic bottle. Much more sanitary. Target, they say the same thing. Rest in peace, George Floyd. No Target job for you neither. They say, and in fact, Amazon just for Washington State said they're cutting 2,300 jobs because they put their first corporate office here in Seattle. I got tickets to go to Amazon Spheres because they had the Aeroid show earlier this year. You know, I told you you can go see the Monstera, my beloved, and all the other plants. But it's amazing all the stuff that they have right in the middle of downtown. But yeah, I don't know if they're laying off people from Amazon Spheres. I don't know. Maybe they'll have bots do the tour as well. But Target said they're laying off folks also, cutting down. It's been a tough year. They said the same thing. We're cutting corporate staff. I don't know if George Floyd would have got a corporate job, but they said the folks up in Minneapolis, nervous. Say they're going to cut about 1,000 jobs. Say you come in, they're going to George Floyd me. They're going to grab me and put their knee on me. Get on out of here. You don't work anymore. Get on out of here. Give me your key fob. Nervous. I don't think too many of George Floyd's relatives are going to be amongst the corporate staff members who may keep a job or lose a job. That's just a guess. I could be totally wrong. Was in Minnesota this year. I keep forgetting. What a lame year. Anyway, but Target, and they included in that Target, they're striving for efficiency, make more money. We can make more money if we can get these bots and AI. We don't have to pay people fewer compensation. Okay. They say we took a tough toll on our image this year. We did all that nonsense, George Floyd, and act like we're going to come roll around in the streets with you all and, oh man, justice, and stop killing all the black people, and be nice to black dudes, and be nice to George Floyd. Yeah. And they were selling Negro products in the store, and then they waited about 2 years, and on second thought, yeah, we ain't gonna do all that. We ain't gonna do all that. we done. Forget George Floyd, and yeah, we're tired of all this. Is goofy, and yeah, let's forget that. We're gonna get rid of all our DEI stuff and just get back to the way it was. And they said they had Al Sharpton and folks was talking about protesting, boycotting Target. Did it have an impact? Is that what they were talking about? The boycott? I'm not snickering because I didn't have an opinion either way. I don't really shop at Target. So, it wasn't I'm a boycott, brothers. I'm with it, whatever. But yeah, did that have an impact to the point that they got to, do all this? I don't know, folks. I do remember folks talking about that quite a bit throughout the year. I can't say I've seen any protesters out front of the Targets that I have been by this calendar year, but yeah. And then we heard the report from Capital B News. I'm a big fan of their reporting. The address is Capital B, the letter B as in boy or black, I presume, news.org. I do not capitalize the B in black, never. And that is right in line with what the great Neely Fuller Jr. told us, that the only racial category is white, and that I am certainly not about all that bragging about being it was even in the report that I had pride being a black federal worker. What? Anyway, ain't nothing to be proud about being black and I'm proud. Black and I'm proud. Where's my Jim Jones? I need to get back playing my Jim Jones because he said, are we black? Proud? Where are the cups at? Come on. Anyway. And particularly the times when we talk about Negro pride, Jim Jones getting the coolie. Are we black? Proud? We're in the midst of the government shutdown. 65% paycheck to paycheck. Negroes, no jobs, no nothing. Are we black? Proud? Come on. But I do love, I won't say love, scientific. I do greatly appreciate Capital B News, capital B news.org. Great reporting. Lots of it talks directly about racism, white supremacy. They've been doing a lot of reports about the impact of the government shutdown on black people specifically in different parts of the world, Atlanta, D.C., but lots of great reporting. If you need a news site, right? People say they don't want to read the news because it's full of white people's lies. Well, bang, black news site. I will say they quote from the New York Times and those other sources of white people's lies, just including. Anyway, but this report I thought was very informative. Hey, what we're talking about right now, folks saying, and losing food stamp benefits, what is that, Saturday or Sunday? I think that's November 1. And then with the furloughs and shutdowns and missed paychecks, just what in the world? All of this chaos and strain on people. Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Are we going to be able to eat? Like just, even they were talking about the Head Start program. I could have included that too because that's federally funded. So they said, oh man, Head Start program might be shutting down and parents, flipping out about that. What are we going to do with our children? And some children, that's where they get food, really young children. The employees at Head Start, what are we going to do? Do we not have a job? Do we not have a paycheck? Just, you have a lot of non-white people who work at and utilize the services of Head Start. Disgraceful through and through, but in that report, obviously they were talking about black people, so it was all black people in that report. They talked about the difference between white households, black households, that white households have $8,100 in liquid assets, while black households have $1,500. That's the sort of thing I think is so important. We start talking about economics of black people and all of that. We've done a number of programs this year talking about economics contrary to popular opinion. A number of programs this year that have specifically highlighted the enormous power differential in terms of the finances that race soldiers have and the finances of victims of racism, and how white people deliberately loot black people all the time. And they have a variety of schemes and lies to steal from black people in a collective sense and individually. But having that as an understanding, like, oh man, when they have situations like this, white sacrifice. White people can deliberately, racist, they can deliberately do things like this where, hey, we have some long 90, 60-day shutdown and all these people are missing paychecks, and we're talking about shutting down the food stamp programs so that people who can't get food, who are really struggling, the most vulnerable population, seniors and disabled, and oh my goodness, is that really what we want to do? Yes. Won't that hurt a lot of white people? Depends on what you mean by a lot, but I would say no. It might impact a lot of white people, yes, but in terms of harm, probably not. It'll probably harm way more non-white people because, and we've done many programs on this, really all the way back to 2009. Meiju, Louis, The Color of Wealth, they have really burned down, chopped down entire forests, creating books and material about how white people in a system of white supremacy, they have so many other resources, one just being white. But that book, The Color of Wealth, we talked about it in 2009, and with it's authored by a number of folks. So we had several of the authors, white and non-white, on the program, but they talked about, hey, if I'm white and I get furloughed, laid off, maybe they even steal my back pay, all of the white people in my family are not going to be furloughed, laid off, no back pay. There will be other white people in my family, other white friends who can help me out. And I mean, it's just an abundance. Fuller talked about that too. That's what system means. Yes, I'm sure you will have some white people, the tacky metaphor they use, you'll probably have some white people who fall through the crack. you're going to have droves of black people. They get George Floyd pushed through the cracks. It is a massive difference. And just that wealth differential, you have so many more white people, even if they didn't have lots of other white people to help them out, or even one other white person to help them out, each individual white person is in such a better position than non-white people. They can handle missing a paycheck or two way better than non-white people, and that's just a part of the structure of the system of white supremacy, and white people have written books about it. Yeah, you might have some white sacrifice, but I mean, probably not even too much of that. White people don't get fired, they get rehired. Saw some of this during COVID-19. Anyway, they said, the Capital B report, they said Tony Brown, he was a federal employee, and he had just started at his federal job. And he said, oh man, they told old privileged black male Tony Brown, they said your work ain't up to snuff. Tony Brown said he was a data scientist, the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment. It's under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Said, your work ain't up to snuff. Tony Brown. Now, he said one of the things that we talk about all the time, he didn't have a performance evaluation. Oh, man. That sort of thing right there. We talk about this. That's right up there with proper training, where they don't provide adequate training, sometimes any training at all, to black employees, and or they don't do your employee review. Generally on a job, especially you have a 9-to-5, this serious job, you work for U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, there's supposed to be some sort of check-in, your supervisor annually, every 6 months, and he just started. So, I mean, geez. These are your strengths. Hopefully that list is long. These are your weaknesses, things that you can improve on. Hopefully that list is short, so you'll know where your standing is. If you're having any problems, you'll have time and hopefully training to correct those issues. He didn't even get that. They didn't even, you haven't been showing up on time. Your work has been subpar, and how these are specific things that you need to correct. He didn't get any of that. Just, nah, Negro, get on out of here, Tony Brown. Beat it. Beat it. Dang. And they said, they gave him a letter that he said felt impersonal. It was probably a stock letter, because if you got to fire 2,000 people, you can't be like, oh, TB. I call him TB for Tony Brown, see. But also TB like the disease. They do the double entendre. But look here, TB. It's been great working with you. We've had a grand old time, exchanged lots of nigger jokes at your expense. But journey has come to an end. We're going to wish you the best. We're going to put some coupons for Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in your to-go basket. Like I think he worked in the Atlanta area. But I mean, like, that's what, that's what, do not expect nothing personal, courteous, dignified. It doesn't get any better than tacky. Expect them to misspell. His name was Tony Brown. Expect them to misspell your name when they put the letter in your cardboard box that you've been fired or furloughed, or however they want to phrase it. And Mr. Brown, he said his self-esteem took the biggest hit because he had wanted to get this job for a really long time. He said he felt a sense of purpose and pride. The only thing I can say, man, hey, system of white supremacy racism, and I said it specifically, it could be your dream job for whatever reason. This is the job that you really wanted and you were inspired, and your mom talked to you about this position as a child, and you really wanted to get this and show your mom that you can put in the hard work and impress her, or whatever. Salary, compensation, you wanted to impress your care mate, father, whatever. White people, as long as there's a system of white supremacy racism, white people can boot you out of that job in about 30 seconds, regardless of the job. And white people can show you better than I can tell you. Believe that. But Pam talked about this, and having seen it, many others, like, oh man, white people can totally devastate your self-esteem on these jobs because they can fire. The thing is, they can fire us. That's what Tony Brown understanding. You can be doing brilliant work. You could be the best employee. That does not mean anything. In fact, you be a competent Negro, well-trained, educated, trying to do the correct thing. You show up on time, hard work. Oh my God, you might be the first one fired, for real. You got some old vindictive, lame, incompetent, racist white employees around, and they think you might be vying for my job, or I got my eye on a position that you would obviously be the best hire for. Get that Negro out of here. Or I want my niece, nephew to get that job, or I want my niece, nephew to have your job. Oh no. Get that old smarty pants Negro on it. And it can really, just what Tony Brown said, it can really devastate your self-esteem where we think it's something we did. Like, oh man, I must be ignorant. I didn't go to the right school. What? I'm not wearing the right clothes. Oh man, I'm messing up. We talked about this, and it can lead you to all kinds of mental health problems, overeating, undereating, drinking, all kinds of problems. When it's, oh no. This is the system of white supremacy racism. It does not make being unemployed any easier. Doesn't make you feel any better, but oh man, when you have a correct assessment about what all this is, why this is happening, even when you first get the job, like, hey, that's great. I'm going to save as much money as I can while I have this job, learn as much as I can while I have this job. But Bay Area mom told us before, hey, I could be fired in 5 minutes. They come in here and give me the Friday treatment. You've been in here stealing boxes, ain't you? What? Pack it on up. As a matter of fact, you're not even going to get a box because you've been stealing boxes. So get on out of here. Give us your key card and beat it. Like, dang, I didn't. Hey, system of white supremacy racism. And I just can't say it enough because I think so. They said in the report, they said, hey, we are trying to get unconfused. This is a part of it. Your competence and you doing your job well has no value in the system of white supremacy racism. I'm not saying be lazy and shiftless and show up late. I'm just saying, do not think I'm a hardworking black dude. I bring a lot of business to the company. I'm really valuable. Don't be Tony Brown. Find out the hard way. Let's see. Just from that same report, they said, oh my God, wait a minute. From that same report, they talked to Regina Fuller White. She's a young lady, black female. She and her husband, they moved. I think she said they moved from Wisconsin. Yep, they moved from Wisconsin, which I applaud. Woo! Sade Robinson. But they moved from Wisconsin to Maryland. Mark Jackson, think they playing tonight. Right on. Get it, Ravens. Woo! But they moved from Wisconsin to Baltimore, the hellhole of Baltimore. Freddie Gray. And she said that they, on their job, they can no longer discuss important issues. I'm going to give you the whole paragraph. She said in 2024, she finally secured a contract-based position as a monitoring, evaluation, and learning advisor with USAID's Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Hub. She started her job in October of that year, but by the end of February 2025, the rug had been pulled from under her. Metaphor. Now that, you want to talk about tacky? You do all that. We out here in Sheboygan, racially restricted region, got our Brett Favre jerseys and everything. Aaron Rodgers. We done moved to Maryland, totally different climate, dumped our cheese for crab cakes. Now we gonna cheer for Mark Jackson. We get here in October. Our Halloween candy is barely stale. February pop around, I can't even celebrate Black History Month. They said, you've been DEI'd out of here, full of white. Beat it. Name sound like that counter-racist Negro we didn't like. Beat it. Wish he was still with us so we could have furloughed Fuller too. No, he was a federal employee, so get on out of here. I just got here. I've been here. Beat it. Why do you move back to Wisconsin? All the money it takes. Oh, I could throw up. Then, make sure I don't miss it. There we go. Okay. Now, Tony Brown, black male. Regina, full of white, black female. Tony Brown, privileged black dude. He said he got work in the private sector. Said he can't imagine going back to work for the federal government, not in this environment. He continued. He said that his former work environment was already starting to feel toxic before he left. Colleagues had been told to remove pronouns from their email signatures. Now, I'm not, all about that and what have you. It's not something I think I would voluntarily. He, him, and she, and they, and all that. I wouldn't voluntarily do that, but that's not something I'd be upset about. Continuing. And workers couldn't really discuss issues pertaining to transgender Americans, he said. Why are you talking about transgender Americans, whatever that means, in the workplace? I thought you had a job doing substance abuse. You would have to explain that to me. That falls under just talk about your job. You're supposed to be talking about the impact of Mad Dog 2020. Like, unless you all are specifically studying substance abuse and so-called transgender Americans. Now, if that's what it is, oh, okay, that's different. But I mean, if we're just talking about so-called in general problems, politics pertaining to so-called transgender Americans, why are you talking about that on your job? You deal with substance abuse. And I'm noting that this is a black male, capital B. I think that B is for black, I'm guessing. But I guess it could be for bisexual. I don't know. I never got that impression. Anyway, it's not. Man, we're in a toxic environment, and I, as a black male, we can't talk about racism. No. Toxic environment. Can't talk about justice. No. It's a toxic environment. We can't talk about the correct usage of pronouns and LGBTQ politics. WTH. Confusion, exponential confusion. That's what they said in the report. Can we get unconfused? We trying, but that anti-sex just leads you right into even more of the confusion. I can't stress enough. You got black people being fired. What does that have to do with issues facing transgender America? Who are you even talking about? Any hoodles. And regardless, that's not something I'd be talking about on the job anyway, unless that's in your job description that we are here to address transgender Americans issues. Then right on. That's what you better be talking about every day. But if that's not in your job description, man, just stick to the job. Even if he had said we can't discuss issues related to racism, I'd have said the same thing. Why are you talking about that on your job? You are supposed to be dealing with substance abuse, privileged black dude. Jiminy. And then wonder why we got furloughed and all that. I'm sure that's not why Mr. Brown got furloughed, but that's not going to help. You privileged black male and you got to stop every day at the water cooler and go into your LGBTQ politics. Like, come on. Victims guaranteed qualified. Anyway, number to dial, 720-716-7300. The code 564 844-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If I can get one more with that capital B article, because it was so much information there. I'm a fan of their work. They have a lot of black reporters, journalists who write there too. Black male wrote that report. But they said that USAID's Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Hub, that's where Regina Fuller White, that's where she participated in that program before and then moved on to get her job that they shut down in Maryland. She moved out there. Does USAID, and I know they've been defunding and all that as a part of the whole anti-DEI from Trump's administration from the beginning of his term, second term, but does USAID, do they have some sort of gender equality and non-white male, black male empowerment hub? Do they have that? Black males are not equal to white males, and I have never heard anyone in the universe even giggle, joke towards suggesting that. So does USAID, do they have any sort of program to address the inequality gap between white men and all the dark dudes on the planet? And as I said, is there a non-white male empowerment hub? I don't think George Floyd is that powerful. Do you? Tamir Rice? Do they have such a thing? I'm going to guess no. If they do, I'll retract if someone can let me know and show me evidence that they do. And maybe Gus T can get in that program. I would like to be empowered. But man, that's the tackiness of white supremacy racism again, because they can bring a whole lot of racist women into that program, I suspect. And it would be, hey, this is about gender equality and white women's empowerment. That's just empowering more racists. That's just empowering more racists. That's not what we need. Why don't you help empower Leroy, Devontae, Devin? Nah. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Federal employees, or because you might not necessarily be a federal employee, but if you've been impacted by the so-called shutdown, let us know. I can only say I'm pleased to be alive and focused on counter-racism at this moment for one purpose. I do think it is instructive, even though there's a lot of unnecessary suffering. Can't stress enough, this is what white people want. This is what racists want. This may even be white genetic annihilation being, hey, browning of this part of the world that they've been talking about for a long time. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and many others. Hey, we are stripping away everything. They said at the end of that report, why would you want mass unemployment, mass joblessness, all these millions of people without food? That is exactly what race soldiers would want if we know this is really going to harm non-white people. You might have a few white people slip through the crack, but them niggers. If Dr. Welsing was here, I suspect she would identify this. All of this is deliberate, is coordinated. Fuller used to say that all the time. White people, we just saw it with COVID-19. White people cut checks immediately. They didn't say no nonsense. We don't have no resources. We don't have the funding. They cut checks repeatedly. Remember? Got your stimulus check? They made public transportation free in Seattle, Washington for almost an entire calendar year. Millions of dollars with all of us here catching the train. We got train here like the subway and ferry system. In fact, the ferry was free too. Drop of a hat, made it free. And they did similar things throughout the U.S. Now, the exact opposite. We will let millions starve. Not that we don't have it. This is what we want. When Fuller, he said his entire life, white people could produce justice today. It wouldn't take a long time. They could do it right now. This is what they want. White genetic annihilation. Cannot stress that enough. Whew, man. Not being surprised or fooled about any of what is happening around any of this here. Now, folks who dialed in, hand up, impacted by the shutdown, yay, nay, directly, indirectly, let us know. Let's see. Folks with a hand up, line should be open. Proceed.
May I be heard?
Heard both of you.
You can go first.
Thank you. Much obliged.
Thank you, sir. Greetings to the cows, listeners, and callers. Yeah, I would agree with you guys about all of the chaos that's about to ensue, considering that a lot of benefits for a lot of people here in the LA area are about to be affected. The food especially. My department that I work for sent out a couple literatures about this, and I'll read them off to you. We are in the fourth week of the federal government shutdown, and it pains me to say that is certainly that November CalFresh benefits will be delayed throughout October. We have been diligent in getting the word out of our customers via social media, emails, texts, to have information they need to be prepared. This week we have seen more intense media coverage, and consequences of the federal shutdown are starting to become reality. They have links here on our website for food banks. One is the lafoodbank.org, or call 211 if you need immediate food needs. The letter goes on to say we will likely see increased office visits and calls next week, particularly of our most vulnerable customers. Who may be confused by or even unaware of this delay. Telling someone that their benefits aren't available is a daunting, even heartbreaking task, and we are anticipating that the additional anxiety and created by this news may cause tempers and flare-ups in the lobbies, outside of our offices. Our on-site security at every office is on alert and prepared to respond. In addition, we have been in discussions with the Sheriff's Department, with the local law enforcement to make sure they are aware of this emerging situation. I'm pleased to say that they have pledged all their support and will monitor our offices and assist when necessary. Our safety and the safety of our customers is paramount. These are not easy circumstances. Even the most resilient of our customers, it's important that we support them in the best way we can and be patient. That's one of the literatures that came out talking about the when people come in next week, ask them about what happened, because again they weren't aware that there may be some violence, and again mostly they're going in my area is going to be non-white people. They sent out literature also. In addition to that, talking about the funding, we are at this end of the third week of the federal government shutdown. All the government programs, Minister CalFresh remains the most significant impact, as I advised you last week. Okay, they have 1.5 million customers who receive food assistance through the Essential program. They have formed CalFresh social media, Texas. The part I want to talk about is you may be wondering about our other programs. We have been advised at the state that the shutdown continue to November and beyond. Funding for CalWorks, Medi-Cal, and IHSS is secure through the end of the year. General relief is funded entirely by the county, so there is currently no impact to that program. But that goes on to what you said earlier about, or what you, think may be the case by having a shutdown be all at the end of the year. But that's what I just want to add that to the discussion about what's ensuing. I need my line for now. Thank you again.
Wow. Much obliged for the updates. Wow. Victim. Man, and in the California area, Southern California area, my beloved LA, they mess around and have the Dodgers lose the World Series, and then we lose our benefits, in the name of Rodney King, we will burn this whole thing down. Which they did last year anyway, even though the Dodgers won. So glad I'm not there this time around. That is so ominous. I don't even know what to say. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, man, we would have to do man. Can we have another meeting? This is what I'm thinking. Like, can we have another meeting to discuss safety protocols? Meet with security? Do we have a panic button? Like, it would. I hope we have those, or I hope you all have those plexiglass. Like, oh man, like this is gonna be so bad. Like just all the way around, like tragic, apocalyptic. We started the year in California, the wildfires. Now we are here. Now I am sure you got tens of thousands of wildfire victims. Things have not been corrected from all of that. Now maybe you even got EBT or what have you because of those wildfires. Now we are here. And the Dodgers could lose the World Series. Man. Exactly what racists want. He said, especially in that region, it's going to be lots of non-white people mad where our benefits and what's going on, confusion. And then same thing I'd said before, having security come and drag Leroy out of that. We told you before, now you should have been prepared. This is what racists want. You'll probably have some white sacrifice in it. You might even see it be like an albino chipmunk. You might see a white person come in the office from time to time. Where our benefits, we didn't get. You're going to have a whole lot of non-white people suffering as intended. Non-Clemson grad, much obliged for sharing, allowing victim to take the mic. Proceed, sir.
All right, can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's see a couple things. I have friends who work for the feds, and they said they'd be cooked if they didn't have their second job. My job is indirectly affected by the federal shutdown because I need federal workers to sign off on local efforts where I live. Speaking of AI, the demise of humans, this was from a blog post I came across about a week and a half ago. The demise of humans in the workplace might have been hasty. Many businesses that jumped on the AI bandwagon are now pumping the brakes, realizing that the promise of AI replacing humans might have been a bit overblown. From chatbots that fail to understand the simplest requests to automated caller systems that leave customers yelling, "Speak to a representative." It's becoming clear that AI isn't always the magic solution it was hyped up to be. So why exactly are businesses, especially in retail, finding more success with good old-fashioned human clienteling? That was from the article. Yet these companies continue to say that AI is the way for the future. AI can be a tool, not a replacement for people. While choreographing and teaching some children for an upcoming event, the kids were being taught about resumes and told not to use AI. I raised my hand to say I use AI, but for a resume when I applied for those jobs earlier this year. I raised my hand to say I use AI, but I checked the AI's work and made edits and continually ran my edits through AI until I got the resume I wanted. As a tool, AI is a tool, not a replacement. Thought my director had stopped saluting me. He saluted me this past Tuesday. I've been through 12 work evals at my current job. My scores have never gone down. They have only gone up. I tolerate my scores staying the same. If my scores were to decline, I would not sign and would have a meeting with my manager about why. Once my manager made a mistake on my eval and the score dropped, and I went to my manager and he immediately corrected it. Personally, I like the work that I do. I'd say I have my dream work, but I do not have my dream job. Even with southern states like South Carolina, they're declaring states of emergency right now to open up food banks to give more resources to places like food banks and stuff, because obviously with the federal government being shut down, people are clearly going to have food insecurity issues. So I think it's very interesting that the very people who voted and even supported and gave endorsements to the current president are the same ones who are acting in ways that are opposite of the current president's policies. But, you know, I think Neely Fuller said it best. White people like to take both sides of the argument. This is from another article. This is from a HuffPost article that was shared with me by a family friend. HSS employees now being measured by loyalty to Trump's policies. In annual performance reviews, federal workers will be assessed on whether they clearly and demonstratively support implementation of Trump's agenda. That is now going to be moving into federal worker job eval. This sounds crazy, but we've seen crazy over these last couple months. I have a married conservative white couple who are teaching dance now for their first dance at their wedding, who are hoping for the housing market to crash like in 2008 so they can get a house. I asked about people, especially older people, who have their wealth tied up in their housing values. They simply shrug their shoulders. I finally came to an understanding of Dr. Tommy Curry when he says racism is permanent. Simply put, white people will never change. Victims of racism have to change for racism to end. And with that, I will mute my line.
How about that? Similar conclusion. Old lame, worthless Negro says individuals classified as white are dedicated to practicing white supremacy racism. In fact, even similar to Fuller's conclusion, white supremacists, hey, they have made it their reason for existence. Mistreat niggers. So certainly I'm not going to. Now we're talking about something existential. I can't practice racism in the universe? What? Why be alive? Permanent. If you get higher evaluation scores, are you supposed to get a raise, or do they give you like a package of stale Twinkies or a salute? What happens if you get better evaluation scores?
I couldn't tell you.
They don't even get the salute. Dang. What the no.
I really couldn't tell you, Gus.
Dang.
All I know is that my scores have only gone in one direction. I couldn't tell you what happens if the scores stay the same or they go down. Well, I know it. You actually go on probation. And if you don't improve whatever issues they're having with you in 6 months, then you definitely get fired. But I've seen one person with that issue before, and she got fired in less than 3 months.
Dang.
But yeah, that's you don't really get anything for having great scores or improving your scores.
Dang, that's why improve. I would think if you're showing growth and learning, going to training, initiative, hey, this kind of fella we want. Yeah, got some spunk, and all right, that's the kind of person that we want to promote around here. Nap. Oh well. That I know you have raised that before, where you talked about for your own work. I do not have concerns about AI taking my job. It's not even possible for AI to do the work that I do. So no, I'm not concerned about that. And telling us before, some of this might have been overblown. We shall see. The using as a tool, using the AI and technology as a tool, not a replacement. Grand. He was talking context specifically of his resume and kind of refining it to get the exact result that he wanted, but not just leaving it up to, AI, make this resume and bang, just taking back whatever it says, like really finely proof checking what the AI has, whatever it cranks out, and maybe going back and making some edits and such. Hey, using it as a tool, not a replacement. great suggestion. He said the white fella that he told us about previously, suspected racist coworker. He salutes non-Clemson grad, privileged black dude. It seems he does not salute the other, I think because they do have veterans, he told us, who also work there too, doesn't seem to salute them. It's just our good old privileged black dude. And he said he thought he had, kind of nixed this for a little while and he stopped doing it. But then he gave him salute for, I guess for Halloween, maybe. I don't know. That anyway, just doesn't get any better than tacky. Note and keep it moving. That's the sort of thing, though, I would definitely not encourage. That's why I say with non-white people in the workplace, like no slang, professional. Even that would be another reason why, sir, ma'am, just very professional in the way that you speak with people in a workplace environment. Even if it's, say you had somebody that you've been knowing since kindergarten, you all get along very well, very constructive. You could have been at this person's wedding. Even with them, ma'am, sir, I don't even talk to them all reckless like we're homies and that we could have been hanging out. I could have stayed at their house last night. Ma'am, sir. That's the way that you speak to everybody in the workplace. That way no one can ever, well, you're lax and you use a lot of nicknames and slang. You all got your old special handshakes. Nope. None of that. I don't do no fist bumps. None of that. We're in a workplace. Behave in a professional manner at all times. You still might get the, salute, fist and nicknames and all that. Race soldiers are going to do what they do, but in terms of our conduct, professional at all times. That might be one not a suggestion, but that might be one, because I do say question lane is acceptable. I might ask if I was feeling frisky one day and, I don't know, had my second job lined up, Double O Dimples was maybe, 17, about to go off to Clemson and do wonderful things, or join SpaceX and build a spaceship to Pluto. Hey, Todd, why do you do that salute thing? I didn't do the service or anything. Why do you salute me? Just to see what he says. Like, oh, I just do that to everybody. Really? I haven't seen you salute anybody else in the office. Really? just to see what he said. But that's, not a suggestion. Just if I'm.
That is a suggestion. I take it very seriously, and we're getting close to that point.
Oh, man, if you ask, please, I'm begging, sir, let us know because I don't know if that's one that they can fire you, but like you said, he's done this a minute. I'm just curiosity, like, because you said you do have veterans.
At this point, every time he does it, I record it.
Oh, no. Done. I did say that I would, yep. Because he said they got veterans there, like, just, why? What's up with that? Like, Peggy's right there, you don't salute her. Bob did actually serve. He did 2 tours, and he doesn't get us, like, I was just trying to understand, like, what is salute worthy about me? Oh, okay.
Ironically enough, I might have an answer. I don't agree with the answer. I have a buddy that I run with. He's 15 years older than me, black male, who's actually a plant manager, which makes him a unicorn. But his prognosis was because I work so hard at my job, it's very clear that I work hard, work well, and get myself done, that my director, as new as he is, has learned enough about me to simply be impressed with me as a worker, not as a black male, not as a person, not as a human being, merely as a worker. That's it.
Wow. That if he says that, well, that is an impressive dude. But I would rather have someone say that to me, or even better yet, put that in writing. For my next evaluation, maybe I get that promotion next time. That is way better than some tacky, hey, and give me, like, what? Yeah, I would much, if that's what it is, that I'm that great of an asset to the company, hey, let me get that promotion. Maybe you can advocate for me. You come in and say that next time when they're doing get the selection crew together. That colored boy, I know it. No, he didn't go to Clemson. I know. But look, and you, give him a little extra elbow grease and help me get that promotion, man. When you say unicorn, because we are precise about those words, this Negro male plant manager, extra privileged, I guess. What do you mean when you say unicorn?
Black males do not make it to positions where they're managing over almost 1,000 people. He manages a whole plant. Ironically enough, he did get fired from his previous job earlier this year, a plant here in the upstate of South Carolina. But he was informed about that happening, and, he was out of work for about, I think, 2 or 3 months, and then he found the same kind of work, paying less. But now he lives in Atlanta, but his family is still here in South Carolina, so he commutes and comes home to South Carolina on the weekends. This is also a black male who makes more than 6+ figures. I could count on my hand the amount of black males I know who do that. 3 right now, just 3. What else? Even though there are, he knows people who work in his business at other plants, he is the lowest paid of them, even though he puts up far more impressive numbers at his plant than other managers who are white. Unicorn.
Wow. Detail. I shouldn't laugh, black brother. He is the lowest paid unicorn. Even though apparently he does brilliant work because he puts up better numbers and deals with, if he's treated the way you are, he endures a lot of racism and doesn't even have his attempted family. Like, man, like that right there is your black male privilege. Like, he got fired last job. Would say he was attempting to rape a white woman, whatever. He got fired, so he had to take this other job, less pay, and his attempted family isn't even with him. He has to commute to go. Now you can say, hey, Leroy, he loves it. He can go out and rape white women all day and then go home, and black males don't take care of their children anyway. 00 dimples notwithstanding. But yeah, he doesn't want to do that anyway. Okay. Man, I can't even get paid correctly?
Well, one thing he said to me is that one of the reasons he doesn't complain about that is because he understands how much money he makes. And this is a guy at one point in his career, he was saving $100,000 a year from his mouth to my ears. So that's why he doesn't complain about things like that. Now, he's worked his butt off to try to make up that gap wherever he could. But he knows, because, this is a black person. He understands the world we live in. He doesn't make excuses for it. He just does his best in the situation he finds himself in and is thankful for what he has.
Hey, since Gusti's name is not on that midget list of 6-figure privileged black males, hey, I do not know what it's like to be saving that much per month. I ain't gonna think I'm gonna complain too much. Things things could be worse. Whew. That's in the Word Guide that we should not say that, but yeah, I can understand. I know that is not the mentality that white people generally take. Oh, I want it all. Oh, no, I want it all. No, I'm not. No, I want it all. Yeah, I got the 6 figures. It's supposed to be 7 figures. I got the 7 figures. It's supposed to be 9 figures. I want it all. I'm supposed to be Jeff Bezos, in fact. Woo, man. But is that black man? He doesn't even have his attempted family with him. I got to go down to Atlanta. Black male privilege. I don't have attempted offspring, but I mean, I know they do act a fool from time to time, talking about children, and you got to potty train them and might have to discipline them, and then they put a hole in the wall from time to time and punch somebody at school. But from day to day, it might generally be nice to come up, oh, there's my child, and help me get those race soldiers off my mind for a few seconds. You can't even do that. Or his care mate, I forgot. Black male privilege. Much obliged. Clemson. Oh, and the pledge, I forgot. He said the folks at the HHS, they got to do the loyalty pledge. Now you might have to come in and show that, hey, me and Donald Trump, simpatico. I am loyal, for sure. I said, dang, I thought they were making y'all do the Pledge of Allegiance down there in South Carolina. That's kind of heading towards the same road. And they eyeball folks. We're going to do the pledge, because I told you, like, I would fail that one. Like, the pledge, what? Can I get a copy of can y'all get the lyrics thing with the little thing bound? Because I don't know none of what? I don't even remember the last environment that I've been in where we had to, you're going to be on the list right there. Like, dang, you can give me a chance? Like, can I go home and study? I'll get it. Like, the pledge, the flag. Liberty, and that's it. Liberty and justice. I got the last part of it. Liberty, you didn't know the whole thing yet. Man. I would want to know all that in advance before you take the job. If you're going to have to do some sort of loyalty pledge, what does that mean? Like, what am I going to be required? Do you have to say something? Do you have to do a song? Do you have to sign something that says I agree with everything Trump says? Woof. Give me all the details in advance. That's definitely one I would not want to be caught unawares. I've been on this job for 20 years, and now all of a sudden you're asking me, like, what? Do what? Give me everything in writing so I can understand what's being discussed, that I'm being required to pledge my loyalty or allegiance. Woo, man. What in the world to have a job? Man, get all this in writing as well. In writing. Even if I had to do per our morning meeting, if you do the email follow-up, October 30, 2025, employees are now required to say Pledge of Allegiance, run whatever they're saying that you got to do. Get that in writing. Let's see. Much obliged. Clemson grad. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. Victim in New Jersey should be with us as well.
Hey guys, just giving you a report. Workplace racism. So I survived Cranberry. So it was interesting listening to the book read. I haven't been able to call in, but exit 9 on the turnpike. Actually, take that route nearly every day. Service. I also service the entire campus of Rutgers University. So they have, I think they have like 3 locations in Camden, New Jersey, one in Newark, New Jersey, but the main campus, everybody is familiar with it. Rutgers. I'm in the New Brunswick. That covers 2 municipalities. Side, the Piscataway, New Jersey. The other side would be New Brunswick. Yeah, so as I was listening to the book read at work, I heard mentioned exit 9. Say, I'm quite low and need to do better. History of New Jersey, because I didn't know that shooting took place near exit 9. Exit 9 will be the exit. And you're going to Rutgers University. Cranberry will be next exit, which will be 8. I did do a delivery, a pickup at town. It's a town. Well, from what I've seen, it's in Middlesex County. Rutgers is also Middlesex. Attaway, I think, Union County. Yeah, so it's a lot of warehouses Jersey. But I would say it's since people, like to do racial narrowing when it comes to political parties, it seems to be a Republican stronghold, gubernatorial race. So I see a lot of things. Garelli will say.
Your microphone is breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if you're.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I sound now.
Give us a sentence. Go back to with the signs in the yard. You said there are gubernatorial races happening right now. It's kind of Republican.
Yeah. So they're having the gubernatorial race. So there's a lot of Republican. That's kind of like the layout. Yeah, that's the layout of. So I did make the delivery. I did. I would say this too. So I reported that I'm in a bigger trailer. Because at my company it goes from straight truck, 28-foot trailers, 36 and 53. So I'm in a bigger trailer. So I'm in that trailer this week. Supervisor did inform me that.
I was talking to my cousin.
Oh, sorry. Picking up. My fault. I'd left one of the lines open. My fault. I thought that was coming. I was thinking it was background noise from your end. So goofy. My fault. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So I'm in the bigger trailer. So my supervisor did say that comes with, that's more responsibility. I had to train for 2 weeks. So they trained me in 2 weeks just to see if I was able to back up correctly, maneuver a bigger trailer. He said that comes with money. In the trailer, Tuesday I started in the trailer. I was assigned to the trailer. And Wednesday I went into the office. Supervisor, you did say this comes with money. Oh, yeah. So I have to talk to Sarah, the operation manager. He approves, things like that, pay raises. I was in the office. He wrote it down. Okay, not a problem. This particular supervisor said something that really it got me. It got me not upset, but it put me on alert. So I'm very short with this supervisor. Times when I see that he's overwhelmed, he can get very, very rude in a sense. Snappy. You know what I mean? He can get that. So I was training the trainer, me, I think it was like last Friday, he was saying, hey, because when I was training, it would have been out. But if I'm assigned a pickup, if I'm assigned to do a delivery, then I get my flat base pay plus the pickup or the delivery. So that's more money. So he was just, the trainer was saying that, hey, we might just need to focus on just, being though we're on the end of the training, we need to focus on that. So we're not going to do any deliveries and any pickups because when I went to Cranberry that day, it was 2 pickups and it was more me doing pickups than actual training, even though I was driving and I was still backing up loading dock, but he wanted to focus on maneuvers. So he says, hey, we're going to have a meeting with the supervisor. Just let him know that, we're just going to, we don't really need to do any pickups. We're just going to focus on things. So I said, not a problem. So there was a lot of people waiting to see him. He was overwhelmed. I could see that he was overwhelmed. He's just basically pointing to people. Okay, what do you want? Hey, what do you want? So when he pointed to me, I thought I would probably need more time to explain what the trainer was saying. But the trainer was there. I mean, in my opinion, thought he should have went and explained what I needed. But he said, I'll be right back. Tell the supervisor, what we discussed. Hey, supervisor, this is what we're going to do Friday. He paused. No, you don't tell me what you're going to do. I'll tell you what you're going to do. You have a pickup tomorrow. I said, not a problem. I was a little, I had to catch myself because I was about to say something, but I just paused. Okay, not a problem. Okay. All right. And, and I left out the office and I called the trainer and I said, hey, listen, you told me, talk to the supervisor to tell him what we're doing. And he got a little nasty, if in my opinion. He gets on this period, don't worry. Saturday, we'll do the pickup Friday. I'll talk and we'll just come back and just train Saturday. So I said, okay. So when I went in to ask about the money, it was a similar situation. There was me and somebody else waiting at his office, and he's just like, hey, you said about, the money. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna talk to Sarah. He wrote it down. So so this is going to be a whole week that I'll successfully, God willing, tomorrow, I'll operate the bigger vehicles successfully, and there won't be any, I won't tear down the building or anything. So I've got through a whole week successfully. I'm going to give it to maybe mid-Wednesday, and I'm going to go back into the office. This is business, but so I'm not, you said you want even more money, so that's when I'm going back for Wednesday to see if he talks to the operations manager to get more money. I'm saying it to up my pay because I'm a bigger truck. Now that I'm operating a bigger truck, a lot of other employees are now coming to me. You're driving the big, you're driving the bigger truck. Oh, does it come with more money? I mean, that's really not you guys' business. That these questions are making me uncomfortable. And these are people that I don't be talked to any other time. So I just when they come to me, and, hey, listen, this is my first week. I'm still learning. If you guys need any information about, talk to supervisor. As far as it going, it's going okay. Because people are giving their opinions. I don't see much of a difference between driving and what you drive, and I hear that the pay isn't much different, and so I'm getting a lot of that, and I'm also, even though I'm operating a bigger truck, and when you're back in a truck, might be other trucks waiting to dock, so it's taking me a little bit longer. Today it was raining, so visibility was poor, so it took me a little bit longer to the load and dock. I'm just building my confidence. So being patient. The stairs, the guys, blowing the horn, rushing me. Nobody is blowing the horn, but sometimes you can look and see people's facial expression and they're in a rush. But unfortunately, I don't care. I'm not trying to destroy the vehicle that I'm operating. I'm not trying to kill anybody, and I'm not trying to tear nothing up, the building or any other vehicles in the process of me backing up. You guys, for some of the guys, they're just going to have to be inconvenienced because Victim of New Jersey is taking its time. And if it takes me a day to back this truck up without killing anybody or destroying anything, that's just what I'm going to do. So, yeah, so that's just my report. And any suggestions on the pay and also to address I want to say nosy coworkers, or people that want to interject their job promotion. Yeah, so I want to know, am I doing the right thing by just letting the week pass and going back in the middle of the week? He's going to do on his promise. Money. Fingers crossed.
Much obliged, victim in New Jersey. Just for people who maybe do not listen or haven't caught up, Catherine Massey Book Club, Cranberry, New Jersey was mentioned very early on in Evelyn Williams' Inadmissible Evidence, which we just started. We're reading, I think we're on session 4 tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But it was mentioned very early on, and it was highlighted by yours truly, maybe many other folks, but it was highlighted by I guess he's victim in New Jersey, so maybe 2 of us. He actually has gone to Cranberry now, and I've never been there. So I guess for 2 people at least, it really stuck out because Miss Williams, she said that, and Asada Shakur is her niece, so she says that her family migrated from Wilmington, North Carolina, area where they had the purge, migrated to New Jersey. And she said that her relatives told her about an incident where black people in Cranberry, New Jersey were terrorized by the Klan. They threatened to castrate, sodomize them, painted them white, and kicked them out of town. I was stunned. Contacted, and I said, we read all this while the University of Washington was playing the University of Rutgers, New Jersey. Literally, Rutgers was standing right outside. I saw them right before we went to broadcast the book club. Anyway, but that's Cranberry for people who do not even. I contacted Rutgers to get information about this incident and have email I didn't even get a chance to read yet from Rutgers University about all of this to see if I can get more details. What sodomy? What? Anyway, and so he went there, Republican, Trump. I bet they had some January 6 folks from the Middlesex region. Middlesex County features so prominently in the book that we're reading, like from now forward, because of where the shooting happened on the Turnpike. It will dominate the rest of the text. Anyway, so with regards to the nosy employees, particularly because it wouldn't matter even if they were your best buddies, but he said these are people that normally don't speak to him, acknowledge him, they don't bring him moldy cornbread, nothing. Now that, hey, see you got that new big truck. You get a raise with that truck? How much of a raise you get? What you making now? I heard it's not that much of a pay difference, is it? That's true? I think the way he phrased it was, I don't think that's any of your business. And he redirected their queries to the folks who can answer their question. Brilliant. I'm sure there are other ways that you can state it, but I mean that right to the point. None of your concern. HR, supervisors, other folks can answer all of those questions about what's the pay grade for the vehicle, what's the difference, all of that. You know where you can go to get all that information. And especially for people, these people don't even speak, it sounds like. Black brother, are you doing all right today? Saving up them nickels, all right? You know it's good to see you, my black brother. Be well, be well. They don't even do that. They don't even do that. Now you gonna come up with, So I think that's great on the way that you've been dealing with that one. In terms of the increase in pay, one, standard operating procedure. This is so tacky, familiar, just wow. White people have been doing this for like centuries. They'll say they're going to give a raise, might even give a date. Sometimes they'll be vague about that, but oh yeah, you colored gals have been doing a great job. You colored boys, just, wow, best workers I've ever had. I'm going to give you an extra quarter, maybe starting the end of the month. Yeah, new month coming up this weekend, beginning of the month. New quarter per hour or whatever it is. I'll give you a new roll of cornbread or whatever. And then Monday comes. I said, really? I don't know. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna go check with Sarah about that. I'm gonna get back to you. And you go back. Really? They said extra roll of cornbread. I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go check with Sarah. Be back. And we do this for 8 months sometimes, or what. Even sometimes. I remember the black African. It was the same thing. He was supposed to get a raise. He said, well, the budget, immigrants, inflation, they DEI'd us too. I don't think we're going to be able to give you that raise, the black African. Plus you got that Negro name. You mad about it? You upset? Look like you're getting upset. Uh-oh, he getting upset. Watch it. We got an angry nigger. Get security. He getting mad. You sure you're not getting security? You sure you're not mad? It look like you upset. You're not angry? You sure you're not angry? And they did this for like 2 or 3 days. And they came back like 5 days later and said, well, turns out we found an extra loaf of cornbread. So we're going to go ahead and give you that raise. Now, if you're angry about it, you can go ahead and say, because you look like you might still be angry. Are you upset? You sure? Get security. Are you angry? You sure? You sure? Look like you got that Negro rage in your eyes a little bit about it. Because I'd be mad too if they played around like they're going to give it to you. No, we're not going to give it. We're going to give it. Because, anyway. But are you upset about it? You sure? Okay. And there you go. And then they gave him but I mean, woo, that's a lot to get an extra roll of cornbread. Like white people love to do this with black. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I think that also is the best way to proceed. That way they can't say, you can come in here, Leroy, and nag me every 5 minutes about your cornbread. I told you I'm going to check on it. No problem. I know you are a busy white man. It's a big planet. Lots of racism to practice. But I for sure would be there before the next pay period. And this is one of those, I think I already said it today, writing. Oh, get it in writing. Even if it's maybe we sat down as a part of our performance evaluation, and he says, oh, okay, a victim in New Jersey, you've been doing great work, best thing since Cory Booker, and we're so proud to have you as a part of this organization, and we're so proud, we're going to give you 2 loaves of cornbread. New raise for you because you've been doing such a great job. When this meeting is done, email to confirm our discussion this afternoon, Thursday, October 30, 2025, 1:25 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Times. Turn your clock back this weekend. You said that starting next pay period, 2 loaves of cornbread for Gus T., victim in New Jersey. Was this our agreement? And have them send it back. So now we have it in writing. So this is not dependent. I mean, I know the real all-stars and people, if we're going to have our phone all day long, they send that email during the conversation. As soon as it said, oh yeah, Leroy, we're going to give you 2 extra loaves of cornbread starting next Tuesday. Let me get my phone out. 2 extra loaves starting per our afternoon conversation. Bang! I'm just sending you an email to confirm that you just said I'm going to get those 2 loaves of cornbread during the conversation. That is live time brilliant. But if you can't or not willing to do that, as soon as that meeting is done, you don't go to the lavatory, you don't make a phone call, no text. I'm not stopping to no cute person in the hallway. Immediately you go send that email to confirm, and any other important details from that conversation. Now we have in writing, this is what we discussed, and they can tell you directly, that's not what I said. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I said, boom, 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 and run it down. But now you have a written record, and if you can do it live during the conversation, even better. You can include that. This was sent during the discussion, so it's really unlikely I didn't hear this correctly because I sent it right as the words were coming off their lips. 2 loaves of cornbread. I was so startled I had to get my phone out and write it down immediately. You said 2 loaves of cornbread? Yep, 2 loaves of cornbread. Send. Hopefully they have recording, so you'll have it double confirmed, what was said, date, all the rest of it. But that's so common with non-white people and raises, promotions, anything like. And I've heard some really cowardly things, like they'll say like, oh yeah, we're going to give you a $60,000 salary. Okay. And then you go get there and your salary is like $35,000 less than that. And like, oh no, I didn't say no $60,000. Who would pay no Leroy no $60,000? I said $25,000. They're like, no, you did not say that. Like, wait a minute. That's not what you said. No. I didn't say no 60,000. You making that up. My Negro worth no 60. That sort of thing. So I think asking next Wednesday is excellent. Stay resilient, courteous, because you don't have an army with you. And same thing I said, but just asking questions. We'll see if other folks, any other folks have suggestions. So it was 2 queries. So you have co-workers, I suspect some white, some may even be non-white, but either way, he said these are not his homies, people who don't even normally talk to him, coming up and trying to get all into his wallet about did he get a raise and how much was the raise and all the rest of it. What's the best way to neutralize that without sharing details? And then the other part was, so the white boss, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you that raise, and then, oh yeah, I got a check, I'm gonna go ask Sarah about it, and yeah, we're gonna get it, and then what they call it, give you the runaround. Best way to proceed, he said he's gonna go check in next Wednesday. That way they can't, say harass and terrorize me every 5 minutes. You're gonna go in and check again next Wednesday. Folks have strategies, suggestions for how they would deal with the white boss and then the other nagging coworkers. Let's see, I don't know if they're folks are thinking. Folks who dialed in can think a tad. See, I don't know if other folks have been in this sort of situation where other coworkers pester you for details and such. Folks, if you're listening in, drop an email, untiljustice@gmail.com. You can dial in 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you have suggestions for other coworkers kind of pestering and trying to get into your wallet, see how much of a raise you got, or did you get a raise and all that. And then your white boss who has promised you, I'm gonna give you a raise, and then they keep not doing it. Oh, I gotta check, gotta ask a few questions, and he's going back to inquire next Wednesday any suggestions on how to resolve that, best way to get that resolved and get that raise. Star 61 if we have any folks who have thoughts there. I'll check in while folks are, if we have folks who have suggestions. I also thought it was important where the white fella, where he gets, practices racism. You don't tell me what you are gonna do, black boy. I tell you what to do. That, wow. Plantation. And he said what I say all the time. The most important aspect of counter-racism for the workplace, and maybe for all of the planet time that we are under the system of white supremacy, the most important attribute to have, composure. Once You cannot, let me take a few breaths, stay calm, can't, as they say, lose control. What did you say to me, Cracker? It is 2025 on Obama. You don't talk to me like I am not a slave and blah, blah, blah. Let me take a few breaths. Maybe even get some water if you have it there. Everybody has their thermos at the ready these days, right there with the phone. He said, okay. And what I've said consistently, regardless of what the white person says or does, unless they've punched you or something like that, which is totally different, you generally can respond later. You can just record what was said or done. And then, as he said, you can go address that, whatever they said or however they behave, you can address that, It later could be an hour from now, tomorrow morning, end of the week, but you can always address that later. That's not something that you immediately, and it might even be better to not do it immediately. That way you can give yourself enough time to just think, what would be the best way of addressing this so I cannot create any new problems and will give me the best opportunity to get this problem solved in a way that will benefit me. You can take a little bit more time, how you want to articulate what was done. Did this violate policy and procedure? Is this a safety concern? That type of thing. So I always applaud that, but that's so important to not all of us are humans, so nobody likes someone being discourteous and nasty to us in a public environment, maybe in front of our colleagues and such. And shut up, nah, tell me what you. I mean, just wow, like I'm just an old slave here, which is about the size of it. And really, I would say that's one right there. I think it is important, because that sort of episode is so common for black people. I would say black people in particular, non-white people in total. It is so common to have an experience like that where a white person just totally nasty, rude, practicing racism. I'm white. I'm boss. It doesn't even matter if I'm your supervisor. It doesn't matter if I'm the janitor. I am white, and I'm boss. And in fact, it doesn't even matter if you did anything wrong or not. That's totally irrelevant. That's why I said at the very beginning, you could be an incompetent, brilliant employee. That is totally irrelevant in the system of white supremacy racism. We did not go and snatch people and start mistreating them and shackle them up and all the rest. We did not do that because these folks were incompetent and stupid. That's not what this is about at all. Yeah, that very important. I think bravo there as well, to just keep your composure. I think he even said I took a breath or two, got my thoughts together, figured out how I was going to respond. But Brett, and I think Fuller would say that, because I think Fuller talks about having white people do the same sort of thing to him in a workplace. He had a white dude. He said he was trying to tell him. He said, "Well, I don't want to unduly influence you." And the white fella said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute there, Fuller. Nobody influences me." Same type of thing. You don't tell me what to do, nigger. I don't know who you think you are. You don't influence me, nigger boy. And Fuller's, he didn't say, he said, "Do you know who Neely Fuller Jr. is? Who do you think you are talking to, white boy?" He didn't say that. He said almost what victim in New Jersey. He said, okay. Make it short. Give him 2 words. Okay. And that was that. I'm not getting into no brawl. And you don't talk to me. What you think? No. Composure. And he had a federal job, too, so, I mean, they'd have been waiting to furlough him and all that. Like, they'd have put that in the paper, too. Negro sasses white man at Bureau of Printing and Engraving. More on page B1. God rest the dead. We, for sure, appreciation, gratitude to Neely Fuller Jr. But that's about what would have happened, for sure, if he had sassed that white man, because that would have probably been like 30, 40 years, or even longer than that. Even longer than that. It would have been like 40, 50 years ago. Like, oh, my Lord. Woo. Anyway, but I think you did brilliant work there. That is so important because so many black people get in trouble about that composure thing. And a white or a non-white person says something, to us in a workplace environment that's discourteous or what have you, and we get upset. And you have black people that get fired behind that. Don't get promotions behind that and all kinds of craziness. Like, okay.
Gus, if I can interject, even with me keeping my composure, this particular supervisor has authority. This is the person that assigns routes. This is a person that if you want to work on Saturday, he's the one that okays it. And one thing that I've witnessed during my training, because after my training, me and the safety trainer would have to go into his office and sit and talk and give him an update on, how am I progressing with the vehicle. So he got real comfortable. So I was sitting and I was also I got to hear some of the daily conversations between the supervisors, the employee that's responsible for routing different routes, and it's a very he's very calculated, and he can be very petty, meaning that every time that you come into work, you don't necessarily have to have a route. And if I punch in and there's no work, they give you an option to either wait around if they find you something, or they send you home. And when I sat in on the conversation, it confirmed my suspicion. They deliberately do this to certain drivers. They deliberately provide extra work, work that because you get paid by the cases, by the pickups. So if you're in his favor, then your truck will be loaded. That's more money. If not, your truck won't be loaded. Or you just basically be sitting around waiting for a route. So I took that in consideration too when, he got real snappy. And me and him have had words before, and I did what you suggested. He said something that I didn't like before, and I just went back in a day or two, and I said, hey, supervisor, why would you, I addressed what he said. And he's very, don't worry about it. That's just how I get sometimes. So even when he said what he said, I was like, you know what? It's not even worth addressing. Get me in this bigger truck. Get me some, get me my pay, and I'm just going to go about my business. I don't even really think it's worth me even addressing a day or two later. Just give me the money that I had, that you said you was going to give me, and just keep me working. Because every day I go into work, I have a route, so that's the thing. And I think a lot of times ego and, they make you feel less than a man. And a lot of times this is why we feel like we need to address these things because, physically, this isn't a man that would talk to me like that outside of the workplace, So I have to take in consideration where I am. I'm not going to take it personal. I'm here to do a job and just go home.
Spoken like an intelligent victim of white supremacy, using a teaspoon of counter-racist logic. Like, now I could curse this race soldier good, maybe key his car on the way out too. But this is the white man who is in charge of the routes. This is the white man who makes the schedule. If I curse the white man who makes the schedule, might not be good for my wallet. Maybe I don't curse the white man who makes the schedule. Simple, very simple logic, although many of us apparently do not utilize that logic, unfortunately. And I also think, hey, system of white supremacy racism, this is to be expected. Individuals classified as white, this is one of the ways that they love to practice white supremacy, to humiliate and just get somebody that he knows I make the schedule. This nigger is dependent on me. I'm not dependent on him for nothing, even if he didn't show up to work ever again. So what? We go out and hire another nigger and beat goes on. That Lionel Richie, beat goes on. Not that they wait for me. He depends on me. They love that. Come in and bully, worthless, vulnerable. I mean, oh my God, they love that. But you have to be, and even sometimes it'll be like the janitor, like a lower level white, because white means ball. Fuller talked about that too. He said, the white children, you don't even work here, presumably, come and do the same thing. Find a nigger in the work. And look here, Sam, you get over there and pick up that trash. What is wrong with you? Wait a minute, aren't you 6? You're supposed to be in school. You can't even read yet. I know one thing. Sam better do what I said. Yes, sir. Calling a 6-year-old sir. That is the system of white supremacy racism. So, yeah, composure. Very important. White mean boss. Just making sure I didn't miss any suggestions. Did we miss anybody who had suggestions for a victim in New Jersey? So yeah, it was two-pronged about the co-workers snooping into his finances, and then about the white man not wanting to give him his raise. Do we have any suggestions? Okay. Keep an eye out. Don't wait till the last minute. *61. If you have suggestions, *61. Let me see. I'll read one quick email, then we'll see if we can nab other callers. Let's see. Email number 1. Greetings again, Gus and C.O.W.S listeners. I am the T6 mail carrier for the United States Postal Service who doesn't have a route but works a string of 5 routes and needs to share an update to my submission 2 weeks ago. To recall, I was receiving text messages from a white mail carrier at work accusing me of doing multiple things wrong on his route on his days off. I disagreed with his accusations but never told him. My only request was that he stop texting me about his route, and if he felt something was done incorrectly, come to me in person and tell me. His reaction to this was more accusations and declaring he would snitch on me to management about what I've done wrong. I never worried about him going to management on me because these were accusations he made that he couldn't prove, and as I suspected, nobody came to me with a complaint, so I believe it was a threat he didn't follow through with 2 weeks later. The reason for my update comes from an incident that happened Wednesday, October 29, with the same carrier and the same scenario of him coming to me with a complaint after his day off and me doing his route. The reason for this complaint was because of what we called ADVOS. They're the weekly grocery store papers ads that go to every home unless you unsubscribe from them on Tuesdays. Now, on Tuesday, the 28th, I didn't deliver all the ADVOS for his route and let management know in the morning I wouldn't deliver them all on top of the overtime they gave me to work on another route. I did deliver more than half of them, though, which is what we call managing your ADVOS to make it back to the station in time to clock out. Now, the incident, when he returned to work, he saw that all the, ADVOs weren't delivered. At 8:38 a.m., I was at my work vehicle, and he passed by me. We were alone, no witnesses, to retrieve his mail and ADVOs, and said to me, "Don't steal time on my route if you're not going to deliver all the ADVOs, you fucking bum." Wow, I read that exactly as, because I've said for years, this is a part of the sanitizing, like I don't do the N-word and all of that. No, and I would read, if I had a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, oh yeah. And it's even better if you follow what Mr. Fuller says, 10 stops, no cursing. This would stand out because you don't hear mommy, daddy, other non-white people that you're around. You don't hear them cursing. So this, he said, "Oh my God, what? That is unbelievable. I can't believe he said that." Like, yep. Now, if you just say Phil foreign all day long, sound like Sue Africa, well then, whatever. Effing bum. I didn't verbally respond. Yes. And responded and just looked at him. But within 10 seconds, I pulled out my cell phone and set it to record video, walked closer to him, and asked him to repeat what he just said. He wouldn't repeat that. He called me a effing bum and said, "You heard me." Instead, he called me a time waster, thief, and what he means by this is an employee who doesn't work. That's what President Trump and Doge and them been saying. See, and you, because you're a federal moocher. See, he's one of them old federal employees not doing the, you don't even deliver the advertisements, man. See, you're in your vehicle smoking reefer and raping white women. See, that's what President Trump been saying. And about the United States Postal Service specifically. Time waster. And so he continues. See, the master name caller said, "Boy, they will name call you." Let's see. He say, doesn't work. He called me a time waster and a thief. Employee doesn't work. Blah, blah, blah. He left, and I ended the video and went inside to the supervisor's desk to request steward time. The supervisor asked me why, and I explained what happened, and she insisted I write a statement and granted me the time. The steward of the station was off, but I explained to an alternative steward what happened and wrote my statement, which was left in his office for his return. After writing the statement, the supervisor and station manager, both black females, asked if I was okay and if I wanted the threat assessment team called in over the incident. I didn't know what that was and declined because a physical incident didn't happen. You know, I'm not like an expert on the threat assessment team, but as someone who, I read Gavin DeBecker's The Gift of Fear. That book is not in my top 10, but wow, that was a really great non-fiction, and it's got O.J. Simpson in it. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I read Gavin DeBecker's The Gift of Fear, and I said it already today, that white man went and shot up the CDC. That white man went and shot up the ICE facility in Texas. And you just go on and on and on. I totally forgot. The white man went and killed his wife and coworker up in Ohio. Jacob, I had it right in the description. Killed 2 of his coworkers and himself, and they said the only connection, they all worked together. I have seen more than enough incidents where you have now, this is a repeat pattern of behavior of him harassing and all of that. It would be totally unacceptable if that had been Leroy. And he's driving down in a government vehicle, no less, and I see a white employee, white transgender, white elderly, white female, white young, because maybe they need staffing, so maybe you got a white teenager working the mail route, whatever, and he yells out, "Hey, you effing bum, don't you come being a lazy, no-count, shiftless employee in my vehicle. You get your own route. I'm going to snitch you out, you lazy bastard." Like, what? What? And other citizens would have reported Leroy if he did such a thing. That is so out of... Yes, I want this reported at threat assessment. And no, he did not physically accost me. But this is a repeat pattern of behavior, and this is so wildly unprofessional. Like, what is it? What is it? Gone postal. That's where all that started from. I'm like, oh my Lord, you got some man. If you're going to get this outraged over come on. This is not even about like, you left your half-filled bottle of urine in my vehicle. That's not what this is. The last time it was somebody left the mailbox open, we don't even know if it was you. How did he jump to that conclusion? You're not even being logical here. If you got all this rage where you can be yelling and cursing out another employee in public, you're not even following protocol. Yes, threat assessment, because this person clearly no boundary. And this is the same sort of behavior that I'm talking about. The fella, victim in New Jersey, where the boss said, "Hey, you don't tell me what you do. I tell you what to do." This is that same sort. I'm white. I'm bald. It doesn't even matter. You could have delivered all the ads. Doesn't matter. And we said last time that he accused you, it might not have even been you who did anything wrong. It doesn't matter. You're not even following protocol if he did make a failure with the advertisements. It doesn't matter. I am white. That means if I want to stop in broad daylight on your birthday in front of your mother's house, throw her mail in the street and say you didn't deliver it right and call you an effing bastard, that's what I'll do. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. You want a job? Exact. Hey, my cousin is the supervisor. How about that? Now, what you gonna do? He said it was 2 black females who work at the station, but what you gonna do about it? Because that's how he behaves, right? He keeps doing. What you gonna do about it? Oh, you got your little niggardly phone. You gonna record that I called you a bum. Do something. What you gonna? Time waster. Do something. That's another one for composure too. I keep saying, if you don't get anything else, composure is number one, because it would have been real easy for this victim, privileged black male, to, what did you call me? Whack. Hey, I know a whole lot of black people. If a black person had called you an effing bastard or all the rest of this effing bum, psh, psh, I'm fitting to get my Floyd Mayweather on right now. Kapow! I guess I need to upgrade, get my Terrence Crawford on. Pow! Coon, you don't call me no. Who you think you talk? You don't talk to Leroy. Can't do that with white people in the workplace. And then they would have probably got you on a felony too, because they would say, "Ooh, you assaulted a federal employee." I'm a federal employee. Not no more, Leroy. You're a convict now. But I would have for sure, and in fact, if you can reconsider, I would say, yes, please contact the threat assessment folks. Yes, I know there was no, violence involved. There was no physical incident. I got that. But yes, I would still want the threat of that. Did you feel, I put it into form of a question, did you feel threatened? I would feel threatened if a white person, a white coworker, even if it was a white civilian, but a white coworker, they came and they have a pattern of falsely accusing me of things and being unprofessional and not following protocol and expressing a lot of rage and anger at me. And then they came and cursed me out in that manner in the street and named, oh yeah, I would feel threatened. He could have been armed. I would have felt threatened if this happened like days ago. I don't know. Don't let me talk you into no nonsense, but yes, I would want the threat assessment team contacted and to make a full report of his conduct, because that's exactly what Gavin DeBecker, red flag. Red flag. This is potential gone postal. But that's just me. I could be totally wrong. Let me continue. Threat assessment team. The situation between me and the white man has turned into harassment, and it's ongoing until I speak with my steward and or management for further guidance on how to deal with him. The situation between us is uncommon. That's why I would contact the threat assessment team, because this is so uncommon and it's all from him. You're just doing your job and he's coming, and I've never heard of a such like that. Is he using GPS to come find where you are so I can come provoke a confrontation? Threat assessment. The majority of the carriers would never cross the line. He has threat assessment. I feel like he can't contain his emotions or thoughts about me anymore, and he will get his point across. But I also feel like he expected a different response out of me too. Hey, I might be goofy. I say this all the time, and I say it deliberately because they got a whole racist website called Chimp Out. Black people as monkeys, Obama, right? Okay, the Obamas, right? It could be racist, but I did say they did just shoot up the ICE facility. They did just shoot up the CDC. Gone postal. What if he planned, this nigger is going to chimp out? He'll get mad. You called me what? You don't curse Leroy. You don't get it. And I'm going to have my AR-15 and I'm going to lay this nigger down. And I'm going to tell him, I'm going to call the police and everything. I'm going to tell him he chimped out. I went to tell him that he didn't deliver all the advertisements, which will be true, that he didn't deliver all the advertisements, and I asked him why he wasn't doing his job. We need hardworking employees in the middle of the government shutdown, not shiftless lazybones. And then he came and cursed at me. And oh my God, I felt it was Trayvon Martin vibes, Michael Brown Jr. vibes. He flexed and and he flexed his Negro melanin, and so I had to put him down. And they'll say, yeah, that's probably true. Number one, composure. I bet when he went to get that phone, I'm talking about the privileged black male who wrote this. When he went to get that phone, I bet that white dude was so excited. Oh, it's Leroy. He going. I'm gonna get this. Oh, he getting this. Oh, you time waster, Negro. Ooh, I was gonna get my. I had my bullets. I was ready to put him down. I was gonna put him down. I'm gonna try again next week. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I could be ignorant. I could be totally foolish. Conjecture, right? They did shoot, a white man did shoot up the ICE facility in Texas. A white man did shoot up the CDC in Georgia. I think all that happened last 30 days. Yeah. One that would be equally toxic, maybe cursing and or josting my cool and getting physical. If you recall, my responses were to end communication via text, politeness, and asking questions. That's all. I wouldn't even say anything. This guy seems so unstable, and I think it's going to be a lot more of this end stage white supremacy, white people not getting a check, and all of their toxic anxiety. It'll just be directed at black people. So I wouldn't ask any questions. There's nothing to say at all. Threat assessment team, nothing to say at all. And in fact, I would report that to the supervisors. That will be my position from this point forward, because I do not feel safe. I felt threatened. This is so beyond the pale of professional conduct. There's nothing to say. If he has a report of misconduct, they have policy and procedure about how that's supposed to be handled. I am guaranteed on my life certain nowhere in that procedure does it say locate wherever the postal carrier maldoer is. You track him down, curse he, she, and or their parents out in the street in broad daylight, and you let them know what a no-count effing bum they are. I am sure that's not what the policy and procedure is, not even close. As such, there is nothing to say. That's just, my conclusion. Let's see. An important note is me filming him could be used against me. I am not completely familiar with the policy and procedure, but I am sure it addresses filming inside the facilities somehow. So I haven't shown it to management or mentioned it in my written report. A steward has viewed it and advised not to. I would definitely check policy and procedures just so that you know, even if you still want to film, I would want to be very familiar with the policy and procedure about recording so that I know. Because, you could have had a steward who was not cool, who could have said, you did what? And then turned it into a whole report about you filming. So I would get very familiar with what the policy is so that you know. And I advise everyone, read your entire policy and procedure front and back. And even that might give you more insight about the incorrectness of this fellow's conduct. Because I'm sure he's violating many aspects of policy and procedure with what he's doing. So I would strongly, if it takes, you don't have to read it all in one day because it might be lengthy, should be lengthy, but maybe you can break it up and just read a chunk a day, like a chapter, a section, or what have you a day, and take maybe a week or two, get through it, and really highlight the section where they talk about the phone and employee conduct. I would really pay close attention there, and because I'm sure it will give you some insight that would be helpful in dealing with this employee. To answer Gus's previous question, the government shutdown doesn't affect USPS employees because it's self-funded and pays the employees off sales revenue, not the government. I've included the video footage and audio of this incident to the host as an attachment to this report. Oh, wow. You can check it out and see his behavior. I will watch that just to see, what he looks like in all this, but this is so threatening. I would definitely report this to the threat assessment team. Absolutely. Ask the steward if you can change your mind, maybe, and report this as a threat to them. Just my view. Let's see. Caller at the courthouse in Florida should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Gus, there was a victim of racism who shared an encounter, I suspect, with a white person and his two offspring. They were trying to, I guess, do a process of a passport, and this other black female had encountered racism with this white man. I suspect was a white man. And he, through his application, tossed it at her or something and made the comment saying, well, the government needs to shut you down, and the government needs to shut you people down. And this second black person, a black female, was sharing this encounter with me, and she said, I would have asked him, what do you mean by you people? Are you saying black people or people at the post office? That's what this second black person said. The black person who encountered this suspected racist wasn't there at the time. My second one I like to share is the person who started the click game. She is working at another county, and she came to visit today. I think I'm thinking it had to do with maybe getting another one of her friends to come to the county where I'm at, getting a job saved for her. Because ironically, last week, another one of the white women clique members resigned, or really is transferring to another county. And already in this county is another 4 white women. The same 4 white women that was previously employed at the county where I work at. So I wanted to point that out, number one, where the white supremacy is being practiced there. And a victim shared with me that she heard that it was discussion on trying to see if this person who's recently resigning is trying to see if there's a way to get her PTO transferred to another county's courthouse. I don't know if it was actually accomplished, but I had added that to my notes recently because I'm like, man, this person already left this county and she came back. And I think she was trying to get another white person brought to the county where I work at. And I wanted to share 2 more stories. The next one was a white man and a white woman was coming in to apply for a marriage license. So, and I think this does get into that area where many of the white public has that racism and anti-blackness and how they speak to black people in customer service when they arrive into the building and they see that, hey, we got some black people, we got some colors in here or whatever. And I can just sense that that's the approach. So I'm like, okay, I already know how you might be trying to, come at me or whatever. You might be trying to practice racism. And the way he responded after I asked, and I was professional, I said, had the 2 of you completed the application online? And he was like, oh, yes. He said it in a certain tone. So like, okay, well, if you just have a seat right over there in the chairs, the black chairs over there, the coordinator will be with you in just a moment. And he made a statement. He didn't ask me anything. He made a statement saying, oh, it feels like I'm in trouble. He said, it feels like I'm in trouble. So I never heard nobody make that response to me instructing them to have a seat. Okay, so I guess it was the way that I was speaking or whatever, and I didn't back down from how he was responding to me. So that was a comment he made. I didn't say anything. The white woman who sits in the segregated area, she didn't say anything neither, because I think she's practicing racism as well. Because when a black person that she wants to say something about, she of course is going to have a comment to make. But when white folks come in there, she goes on that racist white code and doesn't say anything. And I wanted to end with this last one, Gus, where I heard this week or a few days ago, there's a black supervisor who was in an office, assigned office, where they have these see-through windows so you can see who's at the window at the when they're trying to get your attention or want to speak with you, but the black supervisor was occupied at the time with another employee. So this white woman, from what I hear, had a stack of papers, and I guess she just didn't want to hold on to the papers. She sat the papers down on the ground, right? So the victim felt that she was being disrespectful. That's the term that she used. And I think she sent an email to the HR person, and this person has a pattern of wanting to deflect onto, well, I'll contact such and such, and names a black male who's in the civil area. But she's trying to contact the HR person who's white. And the black male responded to the victim, the black female, did you see her do it? You know, she said, I felt disrespected. This is a white woman who is the employee in that civil department. So the supervisor is given the title of being over her, but the white woman clearly isn't, going with that or whatever. So I hadn't heard any update on how this situation is going, but I'm going to relay the words that she said her feelings were hurt. So this is the terms that were used from the victim. So that's all I had to share right now. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Black male privilege, indeed. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse. I guess he started that wasn't his job per se. The post office kerfuffle, since we just had the caller who wrote in from the post office, but he said the white fella came in and said, I hope they shut you down. Dang, that folks come in and get hot. That's why I said threat assessment, because if you got to deal with all that in that environment, these folks coming in and getting rowdy, like composure, and yeah, I don't see it, because that's the same thing. He could have a firearm too. He's just a civilian, so he's not at work. Who knows what's having random people coming in and shouting at you. Anyway, but that I said that too about that widespread racist vitriol directed at the post office, which somehow just codes as Negro for whatever, even if it's a black person working there directly or not. Any hoodles. Back to his own specific work environment, where he said the click originator came back to visit. It seems like they have lots of racists who worked at the courthouse for 10, 30 more years, the time when they did not allow very many black people at all. They come back to say what's up and speak to all their old homies and swap memories, maybe see if they could hook up and get their niece, nephew a job, or whatever else that they're going to do. I said the same thing. I cannot imagine his mom, or even he's been there, 15 years or what have you at this point. I can't imagine our caller, present caller, going back. I just want to come and see the clique members and visit the folks in the civil area. Are you serious? Come on. That's, incidentally, that is community. That is network. System, if you will. If I'm coming back and looking to make sure that my current job situation is straight, or transferring, or like looking for job opportunities for other family members or whatever, system, always welcome back. They've rehired people, if my memory is correct. So yeah, he said that today. So yeah, system. The white woman who came in and moved to a different county, because I think he said she was an illustration, move to one county, go to a different one. That's even another example of what Neely Fuller Jr. talked about in saying individuals classified as white, they do not get fired. They get transferred. Just go to the other county. Maybe come back. Maybe I go down there, hang out for 5 years or so, and then I come back. No big deal. It just might look like I got fired. Yeah. If anything, that would be another thing I would talk about in the workplace in terms of in not talking about nonsense and fool talk, but do they have other facilities where I could work? Like if racists here really get on my nerves, not that I don't think they're going to have racists someplace else, but, oh, they have another facility 15 miles down the road. Oh, I go work there. That's at least good to know, just in terms of what are all of my options for where we happen to be at. I'm a big fan of just knowing your options so you know everything that's on the table, as opposed to talking about silliness. That would definitely be something that would be worthy of a little time and attention in a work environment. Not that you'll be as successful as a white person would. And the move of PTO, that's so important because sometimes they'll have lots of rules and regulations about that PTO. Man, you, like I just said, you have some white people, they work there decades. They could have it could be a lot of money that they have stacked up in all that time that they work there. Like, oh, that alone sometimes is enough of a reason I'm going to stay cool with everybody that's here and over there, so that way they will work with me. And yes, we'll let you slide your PTA from Polk County over to whatever county over here and vice versa and bring it back and what have you. And like I said, sometimes they have rules. Sometimes you're supposed to be able to do this. Sometimes you're not. System of white supremacy. If you are classified as white, maybe we let you break the rule and, do whatever with the PTO. We've heard that a whole bunch with the courthouse about the PTO thing, even disparities in, how they allow black people, non-white people to utilize the PTO. The white couple that coming in for the passport photos and got the same plantational attitude about things from the very beginning. Now, he said, importantly, he kept his composure. Same thing. Didn't get right. You don't come in here and talk to me and run this segregated section and I run this here. He didn't do all that. Calm, professional, courteous. Take a seat over here. Ask, did you fill out everything online? Oh, yeah, sure did. No problem. Take a seat right there. We'll be with you promptly. Bravo. Now, I don't know how we get from that to, feel like I'm in trouble because someone asked you to take a seat and we'll be with you promptly. Like, what kind of trouble would you be in? Why would you be in trouble? Why does that even sound like you take a seat? Where did they ask you to take a seat at? Were you in trouble? Did somebody, you take a seat, you are going to get it. That's not what he's like. What are you even talking about? That's what came to start conflict. Got this black boy up here at the passport thing. Might even been thinking he shouldn't even be up here. What's he doing up here? Because I think he said that before. Be like, whoa, where'd you come from? How'd you get it? I didn't even know that they let you work up here. He might have had that in his brain computer the whole time. Like, I can't get my passport. They got some nigger gonna put his hands all over my passport. I did everything online, and now yeah, we are in trouble. That might have been totally, but I mean that I'm going to practice racism. It doesn't matter. It didn't seem like he did anything incorrect. He just take a seat. Okay, we'll go get your paperwork. Person will come help you out. What's the big deal? Race soldiers. Practice racism. That is what we do. And really, same thing with the last one where the white woman felt disrespected. I don't even know what you mean. Like, you'd have to be specific. And we get, remember, young lady, she normally writes in when she talks about how the white woman who is incompetent will say, oh, she was rude and nasty to me. She came for me. It'll be this real vague charge that you somehow victimized them, and then they can never really get down to specific, like, what exactly did the black supervisor do to disrespect you? Did he say something? He tried to rape you? What did he do? I felt disrespected. And even that's even more of it. I felt disrespected. That, oh my goodness. I mean, he could have said the same thing. You know, your work is not up to par. Straighten up and fly right. Oh, I felt disrespected. Well, maybe your work isn't up to par. Get right. Shouldn't even have that. Are you related to somebody in HR? How did you get this job? Importantly, he said, hey, yes, I guess this black fella, privileged, is the supervisor in title. We are still in a system of white supremacy racism. What does that mean? Boy, you might be the supervisor. Don't you forget who's in charge. That's my subordinate. You might be the supervisor. Don't you forget who's in charge. In fact, I even remember he said they had a different black supervisor before, and apparently he was supposed to have white subordinates too, and he didn't want to, he didn't want them to feel disrespect and everything, so he just, hey, no drama, Obama. I'm just going to take it easy. And I think one of the white women said, hey, man, you in charge, man. You got to crack the whip, get them heifers in line and make them do right. I said, I don't know. I don't know. Be easy, black brother. That's anyway, much of black. We talked about that before. Black people who are in a supervisory position over a lot of white people. Wow, that can be really, really. You'll end up with everybody say, I feel disrespected. Leroy is rude, nasty, hostile, belligerent. They're just like, dang, what did Leroy do? We all feel disrespected. We all feel disrespected all the time. All of us. Dang. Okay. Anyway, if we have people, black supervisors, non-white supervisors, and you have lots of white people that you supervise, allegedly, let us know how you manage that. If you have any tips. Writing, I know that was one we've heard before. Writing, write down what you said, and try to avoid being alone with the white women. That's for everybody, but have things in writing about expectations, performance, jobs that are supposed to be completed. Anywhoodles, we will be back tomorrow. Catherine Massey Book Club, Cranberry, New Jersey, Middlesex. We'll chat all that. Asada Shakur and Evelyn Williams. But that's tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and compensatory call-in on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Be careful. They are going to be acting a fool. All that sugar and high fructose corn syrup and red dye number 4 and Lord, and the liquor and just this is race soldiers. This is their time, buddy. They're going to be dressed up as Jeff Dahmer and cutting a fool. Anyway, sobriety would be best because they will be cutting a fool. You will want a high-functioning brain computer to keep yourself safe amidst the madness. Creator, we ask that you remind us to stop saying not all white people are racist. Remind us to stop wasting non-white people's time and energy. Remind us to maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No gossiping. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Context of White Supremacy signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.